Can only imagine. Can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jacko better do some shit. Jacko better do some shit. Jacko don't do shit. Jacko don't do shit now. Jacko don't do shit. Jacko don't do shit. Jacko don't do shit. Jacko don't do shit. Jacko better do some 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 shit. Jacko don't do shit.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Keeping it 100.
Chicago's trading up.
100.
Yes! What? Oh my God. Just recorded.
The tape never lies.
Other people drop off, but we still keep rocking.
You'll never know how good your football team's going to be until you play with maximum effort.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition over the North and never give it back.
Smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east to west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters. But now them out stumped like the Jew and now and later. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks scrolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shane. What we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the unfair. The tape never lies. The truth, you see, we laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Trick Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Justin Fields gets outside the pocket, puts that ball perfectly where only Mooney can get it.
100.
2 feet.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Birds never lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. I guess I didn't hit it, but fuck that. This is TTNL, keeping it 100, the best Bears show on the planet, bar none. Listen, training camp is 1 week away, so we got a lot to talk about. We got from It's the Bigs and the Bears beat reporter, the man, the myth, the legend, Herb Howard is going to be on this show. So let's get to it. Let's bring on the big man, Shane, the smartest man, Marsaw.
Claudio.
What's up? I tried to time that shit. This computer delay. What are you gonna do?
You were so close.
I was. Okay. All right.
Cherie was so excited. She texted me 13 times today. She's like, "Oh my God, if Claudio hits his mark, I'm gonna go crazy." Then he fucks it all up.
Fucked it all up. But it's all right. We'll get there. We're still in preseason. We're still in training camp.
That's right. That's right.
When the season starts, hopefully I'll hit it.
And just think, we're gonna do this all fucking year, Claude.
It's all year long. It is.
And this is the kinder, gentler TTNL. I don't know if people noticed the difference when we started the show, Claude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully
no,
they did, because a lot of people would complain about about it, but
they were, and
no complaints this time.
For once, we listened. We did do the little Jackal better do some shit, so we'll have some news on that later about the equestrian rider there.
Yeah,
whatever his name is, the mystery man. Yeah, but yeah, moving forward, TTNL keeping it 100 is not going to have the monster intros anymore. They're a thing of the past as we move into this new season. So rather than making poor Caden Whitlow, you know, he's got so many women on the line at college, we needed to free up some time for him. So rather than him producing the banger opens that are so long, we're going to cut those up and make them YouTube shorts. So people will have some extra viewing that way during the week as a little look back, and our intros will be a little bit more streamlined moving forward. And as part of the kinder, gentler TTNL, this is the moment for me to shine. Look at Cherie getting all nervous there in the background. She's got her fucking pen out and everything, getting ready to kick my ass. Over the last couple of weeks, guys, and this is no bullshit. This is totally serious and no shtick involved. I took a couple of shots at Pat, the designer of the Chicago Bears podcast, and mimicked him and did an impersonation of him. And it got back to Pat. People sent him the link to the show, and he watched it, and he addressed it on his show. And it was my opinion. I stand by my opinion. I'm not going to change my opinion. I told Pat that I wouldn't expect him to change. I know people don't like my style sometimes, and I don't plan on changing for anybody. Pat is excellent at what he does. There was never any hate involved. Pat is extremely talented. That's why he is where he is, and that's why I am where I am. That's what this is all about at the end of the day. Pat's a great guy. He's got an awesome following. I took a couple of swipes at his style. That's fine. Overall, this is a big brotherhood. End of the day, we all love the Bears. I wish Pat, everybody that he works with, nothing but the best. And I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there because Pat addressed it and Pat handled it with complete class, like he is. I got to give him
the people trying to feed him the bullshit about it.
Oh yeah, everybody was trying.
I mean, obviously, never did that ever come out of your mouth.
Exactly.
None of that would ever be true.
It never did.
People trying to fucking troll and stir the pot.
Hopefully, someday I can meet Pat, and I would definitely tell Pat, you know, to his face the same thing. You know, we're doing a 3-hour banger every Wednesday night, and there was never anything personal. There was never any hatred, and Pat addressed that, and I just wanted to give him the respect back because I appreciate his honesty, and because he could have went a completely different way, and he didn't. So props to you, Pat. Thank you very much.
Maybe we'll get him on one day to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And that's not even what this is about. I just want to pay him the respect, of course, that he deserves, and I appreciate the way that he handled it. So I wanted to do the same because he deserves that. But overall, there was never any hate. There was never any beef between TTNL and Pat, the designer. I stated my opinion. That's what it was. I stand by my opinion. That's fine. I'm not for everybody either, and I'm not going to change for somebody that doesn't like me, and that's what it is. So, Pat, good luck. Congrats on the job, bro. I wish you nothing but success moving forward with the Chicago Bears podcast and with ESPN and with your Bulls coverage and everything else, bro. So, end of the day, bear down and let's go win a fucking Super Bowl. That's what this is all about. We can all party together. So, turn the page on that. Claude, we're a week away.
Yes.
And got a
ramping up.
Big show for us tonight, man. I'm super excited. And with the new year, Claude, comes some breaking news, but I don't think we can unveil it yet because it doesn't look like our guy in the background has his video on yet.
Yeah, I mean, he was here and then he left. It's like he did on the show. He was here.
I tell you.
And then he left. So
should we give him a heads up?
You're on the air, baby.
I guess
you're on.
He's not listening. So let's bring out this lady.
I'm sure he has daddy duties. He just had his son with him.
He could be. Look at this lady.
There she is.
I'm the surprise.
Yeah, Cherie's always the surprise. We said it when she came on into the green room, Claudio. Everybody needs more Cherie's in their life. Yes. I know Thomas Jones is a huge fan.
He is.
Well, I am a huge fan of his. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Gotta get
those I'm trying to find the clip. I can't find it.
We got to get those Manscaped readings going again. Get Sheree lathered up for the Bears off season. So, but no, man, this is an exciting time of year. I know, training camp opening up. We coming out of the doldrums of the NFL off season, and I'm ramped up, man. I'm excited. You see Justin working down in Florida with his guys. I saw Tyler Scott talking about it today, and look at that, Justin Fields, love
baby.
it.
I like that. Claudio,
Like that?
I want a shirt.
I forget where I bought it. I bought it on the internet somewhere. I don't know where it was. I'll try to find it for you.
Gotta send her the link. But
I will.
Or I mean, you can just buy it for me. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll buy it for you too. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, Sheree. Hustling over there, getting free swag.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Put me on the spot on live air. I gotta say yes, no problem.
That's
the way to get it done.
That's usually what I do. I'm the dude that makes the mistakes on live air, but Sheree's got me on a leash tonight. She said well. You want me? You know what? Let's before we get into some Bear stuff, because obviously we got Herb Howard coming on. How about so me, Ivan, and Alex are going to be at training camp in 2 weeks. Okay, so August 1st, we're going to be at the training camp. We're going to do all the pictures and and all that stuff, and bring you guys some good content, hopefully. But we have 4 tickets that Ivan has that all the patrons out there, if you guys, whoever wants to go, hit up Shane, hit up Ivan, hit up me. First ones to hit us up, for the patrons, we'll get you those tickets. You guys can come to the practice with us, and we'll hit us up.
Yeah. All right. So I'll remind everybody at the end of the show too, but I figure I put it out there now since we're talking about training camp starting.
Oh yeah, and what is your guys' overall, where's your excitement level at? Are you more nervous, or are you just ready to?
I'm ready for the season to start because you know how Bears Twitter is. It's all the talk and what about this and all of their predictions and speculations of what could happen, what should happen. I'm just ready to get into the season and see how it plays out. But I'm excited. I'm anxious and excited to see my Bears. So
yeah, I'm with you. I said it before. I think I watch a lot of ESPN, watch a lot of NFL Network, listen to radio shows, and there's a lot of hype around the Bears. Even though we were the worst team in the league last year, I think the moves we've made in the draft, the moves we made in the offseason have shown some promise. And obviously we got Justin fucking Fields, who could possibly be the guy for a long time. And I think people are seeing that. And I think it's exciting. I as a Bear fan, I don't remember going into a season with this much hype around it.
Yeah, and that's the separator for me. And I know we'll talk about this when Herb gets here, but none of this to me is, and I know I talked about this a little bit last week, none of this is too big for Justin Fields. Yeah, and I know he's got to make strides on the field, but listen, that's gonna come with talent level. As the talent level around him improves, that's only going to make Justin Fields better. I mean, how fucking much better can you make Simba Webster? How much better can you make Equanimeous St. Brown? I mean, there's a limited skill set there. These guys are rare and special athletes because they're in the NFL, but there's guys that go way beyond that. DJ Moore, props to him and his family, having the baby boy. So perfect timing on his part. Big props to DJ planning that, getting that out of the way before training camp starts. So a little hat tip to DJ and his wife. That's proper planning right there. Who was it? Who the hell was it that had the baby week 2? I forget. Wasn't Steven? Was it Steven Johnson? I can't remember. One of the guys from Chi City. Maybe it was Zach. It was Zach. Zach had, that's what it was. We played Cincinnati and his wife had the baby week 2. And we're like, bro, that's just bad planning. You had to give him some grief. But yeah, props to DJ Moore, healthy baby boy. And that's awesome. But as we wait for Herb, we have another surprise guest, but he must be doing push-ups or something out on the driveway. Sheree, what do you think?
Must be doing shit. He must be doing shit.
Maybe for the first time in a long time. Maybe
he's taking us shit. Who knows?
Maybe he could be. Maybe Alan Bratcher showed up to his house. Who knows?
Play some mango.
To bring him, play some mango.
Oh boy.
I know you guys have kind of touched on this, but I see the comments still coming in about the Bears not being on Hard Knocks. Shane, I know I'm kind of in the line. I mean, I don't want to see the Bears on Hard Knocks, but I know y'all like getting all the inside information. But if you want to share your thoughts on how you think the Hard Knocks thing will play out with the Bears.
Yeah, I just think I addressed it there a couple of times, but I don't think now is the time for the Bears. I think they're going to be a bigger, more interesting story next year. And I mean, this is probably something good that we can talk about with Herb also, because I think there's going to be a little bit more meat on the bone. Yes, you have the Justin Fields story, DJ Moore coming here this year, but next year you may have some more things settled with Arlington Heights. You're going to have the drama surrounding if Justin Fields has a big year, with the contract. You're going to have the Bears with 2 first-round draft picks. You're going to have the Bears with a bunch more money. There's going to be a lot more surrounding the Bears where I think it's probably going to be a bigger story than it would be this year. Listen, we all want if the Bears are on there, I'm going to watch every second of it this year. I just think the NFL is a fucking monster. We all know that. They're not stupid. I think they project very, very well with things like this. And I just think they see the potential. The Bears have been a sleeping giant. They're like Texas football in college. They're a sleeping giant. That's what the Bears are. The NFL, all sports is better when the Chicago Bears are relevant and they're thriving. And I just think that they're a year away of being an even bigger story. And I would hate for them to be on this year. And next year, we have all of this, pomp and circumstance surrounding the Bears. And I just think to me, it's a year away. I don't know how you guys feel. If you think I'm crazy, if you'd rather see it this year or what the deal is.
I mean, I'll be ecstatic to see them any year, but I mean, I agree with you. I think next year will probably be better because obviously, hopefully we'll have a way better season than we did, last season. So there will be more intrigue, and I just think it would be cool to see the behind the scenes because obviously we all know how private they are, and and all this stuff, and it's like. It's just I watch Hard Knocks all the time, and it's just cool to see the inside of
absolutely. And another way to look at it too is I know Kevin Warren's been there since April 17th, I think was his first actual day, and there's going to be a weeding out process that's still probably going on. I mean, this isn't just you don't walk into Hallis Hall and there's 6 people working there. He can have all of the weeds pulled next year and have more people in place that are in their position for almost a year at that point, making the Bears, a better run franchise as they need to be. So that's another way to look at it. And they have so much going on with trying to take that next step to relevancy just with the football team, but there's so much going on behind the scenes with Arlington Heights, with the drama with Naperville and all of these other townships trying to come in and throw their hat into the ring. We all know it's going to end up in Arlington Heights, but there's so much behind the scenes cobwebs right now that I just think it's probably better to maybe do it next year. Sheree, are you in that camp or not really?
Well, your logic makes sense to me, but like I said, personally, I don't want to see them on Hard Knocks at all. And I know I'm coming from that old school mentality of I do feel like it's a distraction. I know the fans want to see. I love all the ins and out of the team, but I always wonder if when the cameras are on, are we getting inside information, but also the cameras are on. So you do know that some of it is for show. It's not going to be a true look at how things happen behind the scenes. But it's a good look for the fans. Of course, if they go on, because I love the Bears, I'm going to watch.
Right.
I just prefer us not to be, because I just feel like every time the team is on there are those, like, they sometimes they become the laughing stock. And it's like, and I did see somebody put in a comment, I should have started, like, has it benefited anything?
Well, I think the Rams, didn't the Rams do pretty good after their
They may
season,
have. I'll be honest. If it's not the Bears, I've seen some spots here and there, but if it's not the Bears, it's not, to me, it's not must see TV. Like I said, everybody knows my family situation, young kids and stuff like that, and busy all the time. So sometimes at Hard Knocks is, if I get 20 minutes to sit down and watch Hard Knocks, usually within about 4 minutes of me sitting down, I'm staring at the back of my eyelids anyway. But if it's the Bears, I'm definitely not.
Well, Joseph brings up a good point, and hopefully we don't see him next year, because one of the criteria is if you made the playoffs, you can't be on Hard Knocks. So
is that one of the?
That's one.
Is that one that you can't be forced?
So the
to be on?
no participation in the program over the last decade, no postseason berth on the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And no first-year head coach.
But even then, if the Bears go out and win, 9 games and just miss the playoffs, and you know that you have your quarterback of the future, for the next 10 years, and they take that step, listen, I want them to make the playoffs 100%. But if they're on the cusp and they just miss it, to me, they're a bigger story next year. And I mean, to Cherie's point, if it can cause drama and all of this, then let Aaron Rodgers have it. Let him have all the fucking drama. I want to see, because he's pissed off about it. Yeah. And he's like, they rammed it down our throats and all this bullshit. So throw it all on his lap. Let him deal with it. If he thinks the media in Green Bay is going to be like the media in New York, just wait, Aaron. Just wait.
But I will say a point that I've heard you guys bring up that I never thought about is how, like I say, in my mind, I'm like, it's going to be a distraction. But you guys have also brought up the point that these kids come up in the social media era.
Absolutely.
So it's not like them being broadcast. That's their time to shine for most of them. So
I mean Justin Fields is walking around with his own dude. What is it? Is it Simeon Kelly or Simon Kelly, the guy that's following him around, and he's walking into Hallis Hall at 11:30 at night, and it's documented a video. So these guys are around it. If you follow Chase Claypool on Instagram, they're doing all this stuff about. The only guy that I know that does hate it is Darnell Mooney. He pretty much, he's like, said to Claypool on that one live, he's like, get the fuck out of here, get out of it, stop with this, which is fine. But Cherie's 100% right. You can't walk down the street anywhere and people are on, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, doing their clips. And that's just the way of the world today. And these guys are no different. If you're a 5th round rookie or an undrafted free agent, that is your avenue to getting noticed, to gain more Twitter followers and get people to follow you and kind of build your brand and get noticed that way. So I'm not so sure if it's going to be a distraction. I think the distraction overall isn't so much for the players. I think it's for the old school mentality of George McCaskey, of Virginia, who would obviously, is this still in black and white? She's probably wondering that shit like that. But I think it's more of a distraction for those guys. Because like I said, you look at the Bears, you look on Madden. I know Madden 24 coming out here in a couple of weeks, but Madden 23, you guys heard me talk about it. If you use the Bears as a franchise and you go into owner mode, it doesn't show George McCaskey. It shows Ted Phillips, the team as the owner of the Chicago Bears.
What the fuck?
But that's, I'm sure when they go to George, he's like, nah, I don't want that. Let, the next guy down, the rung on the ladder, let Ted do it. And I think they look at it as a distraction. I'm not so sure that I think it would be a very limited amount of players that would be, I'm turned off to it.
Yeah, a lot of the rookies usually have a spotlight on them. To bring some attention.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember Hard Knocks back in. I don't think it's been like this for a while. They would go to their house and see their family and really get into their lives like that. So
yeah, and you see more and more of this. You see the Netflix series following around, Kirk Cousins and
the TV series.
Yeah, and all of that. And I know, but this is the thing too. And I know that some fans are out there saying, the Bears have 1920 football drive, but that's, what have we gotten? Like 4 episodes of that since
very
December
limited.
or January. If you're telling me that you're pumping out one of those a week, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. Fans would tune in for it. We want the access. Broadcast Family Fest, at a minimum, broadcast some limited training camp practices. All of that shit would be great. But
so I'm just looking up real quick some of the records of people that were on, teams that were on Hard Knocks the next year. The best situation, best record after was actually the Jets in 2010. They went 11-5, and they went to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Steelers. So that's kind of.
I mean, I am that old school person that I like some mystery. I'm not a big fan of this social media era where everything is out in the public. I like some mystery. So that's
I hear you, man. There's definitely there's no perfect avenue for this. And look at this. Our green room is starting to fill up a little bit. Look at this dude. He had to go back for seconds for the shrimp cocktail. That's why he was a little bit late getting in here, but we'll have to bust his balls. But let me break a little news first.
Breaking news. The tape never lies. Network breaking news.
So major breaking news in here to the TTNL Network desk, Claude. As the general manager, the TTNL Network has made a trade. We have sent
blockbuster.
Yes, it's a blockbuster. We have sent the rights to Alan Bratcher and to DDP, Draft Dr. Phil, to It's the Bigs. They wanted somebody a little bit smaller to expand their base over there. And we have a new guy on our network over here. Look at this guy. TTNL, it's Herb Howard coming to work with us now. Look at this host.
Happy to be here.
Even though he can't tell time, we got to bust his balls a little bit.
I was at my locker, and then I kind of got the news that was being shipped out. And I didn't really believe it at first. And they told me, they said, listen, you got to catch a flight, and your flight leaves at 9:30 Central Time. They tweeted it out. You can go on Twitter. You can see they say your flight leaves at 9:30 Central Time.
They did you dirty. They did you dirty.
And so I retweeted it out and said, okay, I'll be leaving at 9:30 Central Time. And then I get a call from the GM, and it's like, yo, you're supposed to have been here already. I was like, it's not my fault. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we almost rescinded the trade and sent him to Hallis Hall for Larry Mayer. But
I almost didn't. I almost failed my physical.
Oh, Herb, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Everything and nothing. Everything is good. Training camp next week. Looking forward to it. A lot of storylines going into it. Just enjoying these last few days before it's completely turn my schedule over and be at the mercy of the Bears. So looking forward to it, though.
The Simba Webster watch starts next week for Herb Howard and the entire crew, right?
You know what? That was a huge thing last year. Really, like going into camp, you had about 12, 15 wide receivers, and you couldn't find 6 of them to save your life. Now you kind of go into this thing, you already got 6 or 7 guys, and they kind of fighting to see who's going to actually make it and who's not. So definitely a different situation in that room, in the wide receiver room, going into this year than last.
Yeah, absolutely. We got look at this. Look at this here.
We got a full house tonight.
Oh my God! Everybody show. Phil goes to take a little time off with Steph, and the whole crew shows up.
I just realized I could talk now, so that was the main reason I showed up tonight.
That's what when I texted what I texted Herb the other night. I'm like, hey, you want to come on and co-host with me? I'm like, but bro, don't think you're gonna fucking talk. This is my moment to shine because Phil's not here. I get to fucking talk now. Don't think I won't fucking mute you.
Surprised I'm not already muted, to be honest. Yeah. So we're making record progress.
But Herb, right before you got here, and Cars, I want you to chime in on this too. Sheree brought up Hard Knocks and obviously going to the Jets. And my thoughts that I've kind of been putting out there for the past couple of weeks, I feel like the Bears are going to be a much more interesting, bigger story next year. You know, when you're going to probably have your answer on your direction with Justin Fields. You're going to have the 2 first rounders. Some more of the information with Arlington Heights may be settled about, what's going on. But what is kind of your take on that? Were you bummed or were you glad that they went to New York? I want Aaron Rodgers to have all the fucking drama, all the pressure on him. And I know he's pissed off. So throw it in his lap and I'm fine with it. The Bears, let's do it next year. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I heard you and Phil talking about that, and I think y'all made some real good points about, them being a more interesting team for it next year. Ideally, they find a way to sneak into the back end of the playoffs this year, and they won't have to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Talk about it, right?
This year, I didn't really want it. Kind of, this is like real selfishly. You know what I mean? As a fan, in terms of the access, I've always enjoyed Hard Knocks. I like the access and the behind the scenes things that they show. As a beat reporter, I was very concerned about what that looks like with HBO being on the scene. How big is that footprint? How much does that limit our access? How much does that change the day-to-day at Hallis Hall in terms of what it looks like for us? And so, honestly, I was like, I really hope not. And then with 12 going to New York, I was like, they'll probably get it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I was hopeful that they would, and I'm glad that they did. I didn't really want it here for the Bears, but again, that's only selfishly as a beat reporter. As a fan, I love the access of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, Cars, are you kind of on the? What's your thoughts on it?
I want to watch that dumpster fire in New York up close. Like, I can't wait to see him show up after some psychedelic mushrooms and in a quiet house for a while, looking
It's
like
locked in the dark room for a couple of days.
Looking like another Nick Cage coming out of when he's trying to steal the Declaration of Independence or something. Yeah. That's what I want. But no, I'm kind of with you. I want them to be more. Like, I want to know more of who we are by the time that we get there. And I think it just makes sense for the league to be like, let's make sure you are what we think you are, and then next season I'd want to watch it way more anyway.
Oh, exactly. And like I said, if they let's just say they win 9 games and Justin proves that he's going to be the guy that's here for the foreseeable future, but they just miss out on the playoffs. Yeah, the playoffs are a big deal and everybody wants that. But overall, if we know that Justin's the guy, that's a massive win for this franchise. I mean,
it's a massive win for the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
You finally have a quarterback worth talking about in Chicago, the charter franchise that's never really had one to talk about. Everybody wins.
Y'all mentioned this too. Like, the league is always better when the Bears are good. That's good for everybody. So the Bears are good. That's good for the league. But especially you talking about a Bears team that has a proven, solidified quarterback, which we've seemingly never had, save a couple of seasons. And then you also talk about having 2 first-round picks coming in. So there'll be certainly a whole lot of intrigue around next summer if they do end up being on Hard Knocks.
Absolutely. But Herb, I wanted to ask you, do you get into Madden and video games and stuff like that, or you're not a gamer at all?
Not as much as I used to. I used to play Madden a lot. I used to enter the tournaments and all that and play it a lot. I don't play it as much as I used to, but always a fan of Madden.
Yeah, but so I'm not going to get into the rosters and all this shit, but man, I just don't understand how the fuck does DJ Moore is an 88 last year in Carolina with that shit show.
Yeah.
And then they make him an 86 after the year that he had in Carolina. I feel like they have this bias to like, oh, we can't. If he's going to Chicago, we got to bring him.
It's where receivers go to die, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Moose Muhammad quote, I believe, from
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the shit that just drives me nuts. I'm waiting for the college football next year. That's what I'm waiting on. That shit's gonna be great. I think we got to start a TTNL, college football league. That'd be pretty dope. Cherie probably kick everybody's ass. She's a mad gamer, I know. Right, Cherie?
Hey, Herb, I got to ask you this question. Last week, I don't know if you saw the show. There was a hot, heated debate. And can you put this to bed? Is Tupac in your top 20 rappers of all time?
Really?
Dr. Phil.
I was with Phil. No.
You're with Phil?
I was with Phil. Like,
wow.
Not in your top 25.
I think he said top 20, but like,
did he?
Yeah, I think 25, 20, whatever. But
either way, I got a ton of respect for Pac, and if
Sorry.
Cherie.
Oh shit!
Cherie slapped him.
Damn.
That wasn't even me. I'm
sorry.
usually the dude that does that. Was all Cherie.
Wow. She don't agree. She don't agree with you.
No,
I mean,
cannot let y'all continue to disrespect Pac like that. Like, granted,
Well,
he may not be in top 5, but top 20.
Hear him out. Let's see what he is.
it's just it's real subjective, right? And so I kind of prefer like my favorite 10 as opposed to like top 10 or best 10. Like, they're just my favorite 10, and he not in there, and he probably not in my favorite 20 either. Just my preference for music and songs. Like, he's not in mine. He's just not. I would get to 20 rappers that I like more. Like, I can't tell you when the last time I went to Tidal and was like, let me pull up this Pac song. I don't know that's ever happened. You know what I mean? Not if it comes through while I'm shuffling, cool. But I don't think I've ever like typed that in. Like, let me pull up this Pac song because I just need to hear it.
How old are you? Are you younger?
37.
Okay, so you grew up in the time with
yeah. No, I love Big, I love Jay, I love Jadakiss. They all in my favorite, 5 and 10, but Pac just not. And it's probably because I grew up in that East Coast West Coast beef. Like, I was big, and so fuck Pac. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it was.
I mean, you're not alone. I mean, I was just shocked last week's show. I was looking through the comments, and usually, obviously, everything's about the Bears. People are coming. Almost all the comments last week was about the list of Tupac. So I was just curious to see where you're at.
No, I got a lot of respect for him. I would never disrespect his track record, but just is he my preference or my favorite? Nah.
All right, so we got a little more breaking news coming in here, guys.
Breaking news. The tape never lies. Network breaking news.
Look at this guy. He's back. He finally fucking showed. He's like, Herb Howard's coming. I'll be there.
It's the big show up for the show, man. How you doing, Herb? How's everybody doing?
Welcome
It's like
back,
a full
Jack.
house reunion. I don't know what else to feel about this. This is like 20 years later.
Guys.
All eyes on me or hit him up, Herb. I mean, come on, man. You can't. Songs right there off the rip, man. Come on. But that's just me. I mean, but I'm 45 years old and I love Pac, but hey, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. How we doing?
Good to have you back, Jackal.
Yeah, man. Good to be back.
Yeah, love it. And
equestrian practice.
Still got the
Keys guy wants to know, where have you been?
Fucking
everywhere.
Everywhere. Riding horses. No. Youth sports, to be perfectly honest with you. Three boys and coaching will take up a lot of your goddamn time, let me tell you.
These damn kids.
Yep.
I tell you.
Babies.
Doing daddy duties. That's respect, bro. Respect.
So,
hey, let me slow you guys down. Let's jump back right into it, man.
Oh, yeah, man. No, I'm
that for sure.
Absolutely. But so we're a week out. Herb, do you have any? We get into this. What do you think? Other than Justin Fields, what do you think after the first 7 to 10 days of camp? What do you think is going to be the number one story if we remove the quarterback from the story? Do you think it's going to be the offensive line? Do you think a defensive line? What do you think is going to be the biggest headline that comes out the first?
I still think it's hard for those guys to kind of stand out, even though I know we always talk about wait till camp and the pads come on, but it's still not quite football. They still not taking guys to the ground and that kind of stuff. So I think it's hard for those guys to truly stand out. Like, you can't say, oh, he had a sack or he did this. I mean, he would have got a sack, whatever. So I tend to stick with the skill positions and some of these things. And I really love where the secondary is at right now. And we can talk about DJ Moore for sure, but that's kind of tied to Justin. So to go away from that secondary, man, I really like where they are right now. If Tyreek Stevenson is who they hope he is, that secondary is going to be legit. They are good everywhere else. Jaylon Johnson's good. Bojack's talking about having a all-time type season at safety.
Yeah.
I think Jaquan Brisker is going to develop into a perennial Pro Bowler. I love that kid. I think Kyler Gordon continued to get better and better as the season went along, and then kind of just minimizing his duties and responsibilities. I think that's going to help him a lot. So if Tyreek Stevenson is the missing piece, and all throughout, OTAs and minicamp, he looked the part. He's very, very long. He's aggressive. He plays with confidence. We know he's physical, so he's not going to be afraid to stick his nose in there in the run game. He's going to take his chances. I think he's going to end up getting burnt sometimes, just kind of peeking in the backfield and jumping some things. And I think he'll get beat on some double moves. But if he's who they think he is, that secondary should be really, really good. And I hope to see them get a chance to go up against a full, healthy offense. When you talk about DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Cole Kmet, I want to see their full guys out there. And when they do get a chance to go one-on-one, I want to see how that secondary stacks up against that group of receivers.
So if we stay in the secondary real quick, Herb, now let me ask you this, and this is projecting forward a little bit, and I'll just put my thoughts out there. You've probably heard me say it. I've said it a bunch of times on here. I don't have a real confidence that they're going to bring Jaylon Johnson back or they're going to extend him. I just feel like there's more there, and I think Tyreek Stevenson's a big part of that, and I think that there's some younger guys that aren't talked about on this roster, specifically in the secondary, that are very good. But you agree with that?
No, I do agree with that. I just think that when you talk about how you can kind of assess Jaylon Johnson on the surface, right? If you just leave it at, ball production and takeaways. And we had this conversation last year with Roquan Smith, and we'll have it with other people. When you just look at ball production, it's easy to say he just doesn't have it. Now, I think Jaylon Johnson is a phenomenal corner. Jaylon Johnson thinks he is an elite corner. Jaylon Johnson thinks he's a top 5 corner, right? And I'm not even going to argue with him on that, right? That's what he believes. Cool. He's able to follow guys around. I think he's a really, really good corner in this league. That being said, his value in his mind as a top 5 corner versus how Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, and the rest of that staff values him, that may be different. And if it's too far apart, I don't know that they're going to be able to find that common ground. And so we saw how it went with Roquan Smith. We saw, just how Ryan Poles has been in general. He's been disciplined. He's stuck to his plan. Now, I don't know what his plan, whether his plan is right or wrong. Only time will tell that. But he's stuck to it. And I don't know that he's going to be too willing to move anything past whatever his number is. I don't know that he's going to be willing to move a dollar past that for Jaylon Johnson, especially when we talk about, again, if Tyreek Stevenson is who they hope he is. You saw them double down and go get Terrell Smith again. I like some of the things I saw from Jalen Jones last year when he had his opportunities. And so, Blackwell is undersized, but they like what he was able to do with his opportunities as well. You can still bump Kyler back outside again if you need to. So all those things kind of give them some insurance plans, right? If they need to go a different route. So I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't work out. I hope it does, but I'm probably just 50-50 at best on it right now.
Yeah. To piggyback onto that, Herb, though, there seems to be a bigger focus with some of the love of football and kind of the other things, right? If you're not getting turnovers, the way you endear yourself, seemingly to the staff and front office is to either, not showing up to mini camp and OTAs as much as we all think it's not that important. To the team, it seems very important. Do you think any of that other stuff makes them bring into question, like, does he love this game? Like, because it seems to be important to Poles and company that the guys do.
I think that it doesn't help your case, right? It's just one more thing that they can use in their own negotiations, right? I don't know that they really care that much that he missed a couple of days in April, or like I don't know that they really care that much about that. That being said, will they use it at the negotiation table? Absolutely, right? You're supposed to be a leader on this team. You don't come, you don't show up. We're trying to implement these new things. We got these young corners, we got this new linebacker, all this type of stuff. And so I think they will certainly use it as leverage, even if it's not as important as they may lead on. So I just think it's another thing that when you are heading into, or you're already in the midst of these negotiations, it doesn't help your case, right? I don't really think it's a huge deal personally, but it certainly doesn't help his case.
Fair.
Herb, so if we move forward just a little bit, I listened to Daniel Jeremiah, I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago, and Bucky Brooks was asking him, they were doing like a Q&A with fans and stuff sending in, and Bucky grabbed a comment, and I thought of the Bears instantly because somebody asked him, what position do you think over the next 5 years is going to change a lot more within the NFL and become a lot more important than it is right now? And I was trying to think before he answered. I'm like, I wonder where he's going to go with this. And he's like, oh, it's easy. It's already starting, and it's off the ball linebacker. And it's going to be the move to the longer, lengthier middle linebacker that can cover and take away, you know, the seam route down the field. And I'm like, holy shit, how refreshing that we have a GM that was looking at something like that before, you know, everybody else by bringing in Edmunds and kind of getting on that. You know, they talked about it a little bit because, you know, Roquan, for all his, you know, positives, it just, listen, he's a good linebacker. I think once he got traded in the, like we were talking about with DJ Moore coming to Chicago, where he gets pushed down a bump, I feel like Roquan got pushed from very good to elite just because he got out of Chicago and like went to Baltimore. You know what I mean? I think Roquan's an excellent linebacker. I just never watched too many games where I'm like, holy shit, that's why they took him 9th overall. Dude's out there just wrecking games. I never saw that. Tremaine Edmunds got paid. You know, they paid him at 24 years old. He just turned 25. But man, this defense with that length, I'm not sure if fans that may not be into the tape analysis really understand how having a 6'5" off the ball linebacker can affect everything down the field and, you know, and keep the game in front of you a little bit more. But kind of speak on that a little bit.
It impacts everything. And I think that, you know, it's probably about time we stop talking about Roquan. He's been gone long enough that we don't have to have that conversation, right? We don't have to compare them the two. I think they're two different conversations. Okay to say Roquan is a great linebacker. I think Roquan is a great linebacker. But it's also okay to say Tremaine is probably a better fit for what this defense wants to do.
Exactly.
Two things can be true. It's fine, right? Yeah. Like, it's like people want you to either say Tremaine is a better fit or Roquan sucks. Like no, it's not. It's not one or the other. Two things can be true, and it's fine.
Yes, you can.
I think that the Bears have the blueprint for it. Anybody that's been a Bears fan for the last 15, 20 years, we have the blueprint for what this thing looks like. He wore 54 here for a long time. We've seen what that looked like. And I'm not saying Tremaine is that. I'm not saying Tremaine's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But in terms of how a guy like that impacts a defense, his ability to get 30 yards down the deep middle of the field, his ability to get sideline to sideline, to get in those passing lanes, to disrupt those slant routes, those digs, all of those types of things. A guy that can cover tight ends, can cover running backs out of the backfield, can carry a slot receiver up the seam for 30 yards. All of those things matter, right? Because you don't have a slot receiver that's 6'5". And so you're trying to get the ball up and over this dude and down to this 6-foot guy. And it's like, that's just a tough thing to be able to do. And so it impacts every aspect of the game. And I think that when you talk about a defense that's predicated on taking the ball away, the more you can tip the ball, right? The more you can disrupt what the quarterback is trying to do, get in his sight lines, all of those things are going to help. If he's got to pump it an extra second, that helps the D-line. Maybe you get another couple of strip sacks over the course of the season. He tips the ball. Bojack is going to turn those tip balls into picks more often than not. Kyler Gordon's going to be around the ball. So all those things matter. I think that Tremaine Edmunds is going to be a hugely impactful player. I think he's going to be a multiplier. He's going to make everybody else around him better just because of what he's able to do and what he's able to bring physically to this defense. And he's a very, very smart football player. Very, very intelligent dude, just talking to him and then how he plays the game. So I love having him on the field. I think he's going to be an absolute phenomenal player. And if people aren't ready to stop talking about Roquan now, give it to the first drive against Green Bay and see 49 in the middle of that defense, you'll be like, okay, I'm done with the Roquan conversation.
And I think one of the biggest things that's not talked about enough with Tremaine is I always look, being so young when he came into the league, him being voted a captain in Buffalo at 20 years old on a veteran-laden defense speaks volumes. And that's exactly what I always go back to the Bears, and this has been an issue really on both sides of the ball for a long time. Remember Josh Woods when the Bears had Josh Woods,
Of course.
He was on with us, and I can always remember him. We were talking
full of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. We had him on the air, and we were talking, and this is, I believe, was Briggs still playing? They had a couple of guys still left, like Akeem and stuff like that. And I remember talking about, leaders on defense, and boom, Akeem, boom, this guy. And I'm like, all right, take me to the other side. You're in the locker room, Josh. Take me to the other side of the ball. Who are the leaders on offense? And he sat there and paused literally for 30 seconds and didn't say anything. And I'm like, that's a fucking problem. That to me says everything. Yeah, your players know first. Players know more than anybody. And this is when you invested into Mitch, Trubisky. And I'm like, that's a big fucking problem. And I just look with Edmunds, I look at it. It's clear who the leader is on offense. Everybody knows it. I look at Tyler Scott talking about, going down to Florida and what is it? Justin paid for my room at the Ritz-Carlton. That shit gets overlooked, but that shit also fucking matters. That's a big deal. That is a leader. Now they have their other pillar piece that's also a massive leader on the other side of the ball in the middle of their defense. And I just think overall it's a tip of the cap to Ryan Poles, to Ian Cunningham, to Matt Eberflus that they recognize that. And I don't think his leadership, Edmunds specifically, I don't think that's talked about anywhere near enough.
No, I don't think it's talked about enough either. But you also got to consider this is a dude. He's 25 years old.
Yeah, just entering
his
25 in May.
Sixth season.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like to be 25, entering your sixth season, just getting your second contract. Nobody expects for as soon as you get your second contract for your play to decline. I don't think we've seen the best of him. I think he's going to continue to get better, right? He's going to continue to be able to diagnose the run and read and react and get guys in position. I saw a comment a minute ago that's absolutely correct that speaks to, the defensive line in front of him. That's going to help. That is a factor. You got to be able to keep him clean so that he can read and run and react and those types of things. But I think that he's going to help them in front of him just as much. So I just think that, we haven't even seen the best of this dude, and he's already really, really good and a great, great fit for what they want to do. So I think like Ryan Poles knocked that thing out the park. And like, I don't know that I'm not going to go over the top and say, oh, that was his plan when he chose not to sign Roquan. I don't think it went necessarily like that. No. But in terms of, finding your plan B and your contingency plan, phenomenal. Hit it out the park.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, Shane, you got to piggyback onto that. Like Edwards is obviously nowhere near that mix. But when you look at like what Warren Sharp and others are talking about analytically about how teams are really moving more to those passing style offenses, right? The slow death of the running back position. You've got two guys who are considered by most top 5, top 10 coverage linebackers in the NFL now is basically the linchpins back there. And so, Herbie brought up a good point. Like you've now got 2 extra guys that are going to give the pass rush a little bit extra time because their coverage is pretty good. And so those type of things.
Pass rush needs it.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
It's going to need it.
There's a common theme in the NFL, in case nobody's noticed. Most of the best teams have these huge tight ends, pass catching tight ends that nobody can cover. So you said it. I mean, this is a big part of the changing of the game where you need to have somebody on defense to be able to cover some of these tight ends like Kelsey and Kittle and some of these other guys. So
even in the division, you've got Hawkinson and others, young, upcoming, bigger guys. That makes it different.
Musgrave and Green Bay just got drafted, so they got some.
Yeah, and Laporta in Detroit. Yep. You know what I mean? That's 2 explosive dudes right there, young guys.
When they talk about changing the position though, like and how it's changing the league, I think there's a lot of positions that you can change. You can just kind of see them be valued differently. We've seen it happen over the time with like nickel corner and those types of things. But when you talk about changing the position to just, it's going to change to guys that are 6'5" and run 4.4 and 2.
Yeah.
Where are these dudes at? Like these.
I know.
That's not just change. That's not just changing your mind. Like, we're going to change our mind and put these dudes here. Like, you got to find these dudes. There's only been a few. Like, there's only been a few that have that kind of size and that kind of athleticism. There's just not a lot of dudes walking around.
And that points to, listen, everybody knows if you do what all of us do and study this and get into the off season and, overturn every rock, free agency is fun. It's great to talk about, but it's a fucking minefield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More times than not, it doesn't work out. But this is what's critical, and this is what I loved about Ryan Pohl's approach, is if you're going to go in with $100 million in cap space and you see Tremaine Edmunds at 24 years old, that's the fucking dude that you roll the dice on. Yeah.
Let's go.
You don't go out and give D-Hop $25 million, and trade a draft pick for him, as good as he is, because he doesn't fit the blueprint. You roll it. Listen, if Tremaine Edmunds hits, he's going to get another fucking contract here while he's still in his prime.
Yes, sir.
That's the best part, and that's
he still be good 29 to 33. Like, he still be a dog. Like,
exactly. Yeah, and it's
have over 1,000 tackles at that point.
That's the approach, and you're talking about the passing game. And I know Dan Weeder and everybody were railroading the guy about, hey, he doesn't take the ball away. Nobody's talking about his passes defense, because you know why? It's number one. It's the top. Roquan in more games has 23. Tremaine Edmunds has 32 in less games. Yeah. You can say that that's not a big difference. That is a big difference.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
That's 9 more shots that you have, like you said, Herb, for Kyler Gordon to pick the ball off, for Eddie to pick it off and take it back to the house. As bad as the Bears were, you turn a couple of those into a house call, that's pushing your win column up.
And those are 9 drives killed, right? You talk about a middle linebacker carrying somebody down the field and disrupting a 9-yard, 12-yard, 15-yard completion. Yep. Those are drive killers. Like, you miss a would-be completion in the middle of a drive like that, you probably going to end up punting the ball. You talk about 9 extra possessions. Give the Bears 9 more possessions last year. They lost a lot of close games. You know what I mean?
10
possessions
over the
course of a season.
Good call.
Yeah, 10 of the 14 losses were 1-score games.
Yeah, so,
But Herb, to your point, for every Urlacher, for every Edmunds, like, who is the other one? Isaiah Simmons, right? Like, those were your long, lanky guys. We've got a lot more guys that were like the Deion Buchanans of the world, the Shaq Thompsons of the world, right? That were these little guys that tried to make that move. So now, we can't. We've seen 3 in my lifetime that have, over the last 20 years that have made any sort of impact at 6'4" as a linebacker.
Yeah.
You're just not going to find these dudes.
No.
They went the other way first, Cars, right? It used to just be, these big, strong dudes who couldn't really move that well, but they come down here and smack you in your face. Like, that's what you wanted. And then you start to see this kind of change that said, okay, well, maybe we can get these shiftier, faster guys. And you start to see guys like Dexter Coakley come into the league that can kind of move and get things done like that. And then you had Urlacher was like, wait, what is this? We can do this? Oh, yeah. Like, the Bears didn't know what to do with him when he got here. They was like, well, we're going to draft him, but we don't know where to play him.
Strong side
they put him
backer.
They put him at Sam Backer, and he was fucking terrible. I'm like, oh, God, this dude can't play.
No.
Yeah. They didn't know really what to do with that thing. And then, he got in that spot and then never gave it back. But the reality is, as a high school coach, as a college coach, I got a guy that's 6'5", 250. I'm not putting him at Mike. Like, let him rush the passer or something. Put him at end or something like that. And so, you get these guys now that, like, Tremaine Edmunds and Dominique Robinson are like the same dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy to think about. Yeah.
It's crazy. So, most college coaches and high school coaches aren't going to put these guys in positions to become future NFL middle linebackers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
Urlacher played 11 positions in high school, so
He
yeah.
played safety in college, right?
Yeah.
Like
and return punts at New Mexico. Like that's crazy.
They kicked them too. I mean, shit.
Oh my
Speaking
god! Yeah,
of-
and I mean, the only reason that he got in at Mike was Barry Minner got hurt.
He got hurt. Barry Minner got hurt. Yeah.
Greg Blosh is like, yeah, get in there, go. And then
Yeah.
Herb said he got in there, and that was it. It never.
And
never
Minner
gave
was
it
another
back.
one of those like 6'1" guys, right? Like
Yeah.
fit that mold of that small but agile guy. And all it took is a guy who had athletic traits that had never been seen at the position before, and now that's what everybody wants. I mean,
You're not good enough to overcome that.
Here's some Bears trivia for you guys. I'm going to put y'all on the spot.
Oh Lord,
who was the last player to wear number 54 before Brian Urlacher for the Bears?
That's not Jim Moore.
No.
Was that Rivera?
No, he wasn't with Chicago very long, but he was. Yeah, nobody knows.
You remember this off the
54.
top of your head, Shane?
Yeah, 54. Yeah, I do.
Briggs?
Wow.
No.
Greg Briggs.
That's not what Brian Cox wore. It's not what Warwick Holman wore.
No, he wasn't in Chicago very long. Cars will know the name once I say it.
Was he drafted
Sure.
by the Bears?
Ricardo.
No. He signed.
Ricardo McDonald. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
It's
totally
Ricardo
forgot about
McDonald.
him.
Yep.
That's a pull, Shane. Okay.
Yeah. I think did he come from the Bengals? I think
Yes,
maybe.
he did.
Ron Cox.
Yeah.
So-
Did anybody in the chat get it? I don't know.
No, I got quick fingers though. I looked it up, so that's the only.
Oh, you did?
I do it. I'm not that smart.
What a surprise! Ryan Cox is saying himself. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just ridiculous.
So,
on his
Herb, we're talking about linebackers. I'm curious to know your opinion on the guy we dubbed Baby Urlacher, Jack Sanborn. Well, a lot of people are.
Why did we
He's gotta
name
recover,
him
man.
that? Just because
Well,
the guy is
not.
white.
I didn't, but I mean, it's just out there. So, but what's your take
Is
on
he
him?
healthy?
I want to get to a place one day in our society where we're able to compare guys to that aren't the same color as them. Like,
We're not there.
like
We're not there.
Yeah, no.
As soon as there's like a white slot receiver, it's like, oh, these Wes Welker. And he's like,
Yeah.
he can't be anybody else.
Don
He can't be
Beebe.
nobody else. Like,
Not a Don Beebe.
Julian Edelman.
right, he's Julian Edelman. So listen, I think Jack Sanborn is a really, really good football player. I think he's smart. I think he diagnoses things and it allows him to play above his athletic ability. So he's able to show up faster than his 40 time would say. I think he's tough. He gets to the ball. He is not the best linebacker on a great defense. He can be the best linebacker on a bad defense. You know what I mean? He can make plays for you. And I think that having him come in, he's a guy who can come in and start for you. And I think he's, having him play at Sam is good. I mean, you talk about, 35, 40% of the snaps. I think that's fine. I think he's a really good football player. Any talk of him being some all-time great player is kind of wild to me.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, no, I hear you.
I
And
think it's
this
wishful
is
thinking, honestly.
Oh,
Dumping them back
listen,
there,
it's the
you know.
typical Bears franchise and Bears fan overreaction. I can remember, I'm like, oh my God, Devin Roma should do it. This motherfucker. They discovered this dude. You fucking fall in love with this guy. We don't need a wide receiver for the next 10 years. And then 4 games later, Martz benches him and you never see the dude again.
Right, then he's in Minnesota.
Yeah, and this is what happens with the Bears. If, years ago, if Jack Sanborn would have broke out the way that he did and made some plays, the Bears never would have jumped into the free agent fray for 2 linebackers to pay because they would have said, oh, Sanborn, we're going to save some money there. We're going to build around him. He's the next. And that's, I brought this up heading into free agency. None of us really talked too much about linebackers. Like I'll be honest, I loved Tremaine Edmunds, loved him. When they signed TJ Edwards, I'm like, all right, they made their linebacker move. I wasn't expecting Tremaine Edmunds.
Them to double down, right?
Yeah, because the next signing after Edwards was Nate Davis, and we went live, and we're literally during the countdown, my phone starts melting, and I'm like, holy fuck, we just signed Tremaine Edmunds too. What's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, a couple of weeks ago, Bears fans were building a statue for Jack Sanborn, and now this dude. But listen, if Jack Sanborn is your Sam, that's a pretty nice fucking consolation. That's not a slight. Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Every middle-aged white guy with sunglasses as his avatar approves that as a message, right? Like, we need a white linebacker here in Chicago stat. So, sorry.
Listen, I think Sanborn at Sam, I think that's good. I think he's also a guy that can certainly step in for you. If one of those guys goes down, he's able to play Will, or he can play Mike for you. I think that's a really, really good thing. A lot of people like the kid Sewell too, and his potential as well. So I think they got a really strong core of linebackers right now. It looks good for them. So shout out to Jack Sanborn. It's not a knock on him. I think he's a really good football player, but there's levels to it right now. And good on Ryan Poles for understanding the levels to it and not looking at it as fool's gold to say, oh, we're set at linebacker because we got this undrafted kid out of Wisconsin that's people around. It's like, nah, let me go get a real top-end linebacker that can actually change the game. And so, again, no knock on Sanborn, but Tremaine Edmunds is a different type of player.
Yeah. Cars, you just texted that Denzel Mims he was traded to the Lions?
Yeah, they said they were going to release him if they couldn't find a trade partner, and now it looks like Mims is gone to Detroit.
Wow. All right. But no, don't sleep on Sewell at all with this team. And that's like him. Yeah, they do. And that's a dude that can play. And I mean, you want to talk about an upgraded unit in terms of the linebacking core. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And, I've always wanted the Bears to be a forward-thinking franchise, and to me, Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham are really showing that. Because the thing about it is, and listen, this may sound like a slight at TJ Edwards, but listen, if Jack Sanborn becomes, if he shows the consistency and that he can make plays, and Sewell does too, you can move off TJ Edwards' contract with no issues after this year. It's essentially a one-year deal when you break it down. That's just good business, and that has never happened here in Chicago. A hole is created, and then you have to wait until the draft, or you go out and blow your wad in free agency on a guy that's 29, 30, or 31 years old to come in and fill that hole. It's forward thinking, and it's almost hard to grasp. Like, holy shit, this is happening in Chicago, and I love it.
It's not what we've seen before. We haven't been trained to think that way, right? To where we have these internal answers already, and it's the same thing we were talking about earlier with Jaylon Johnson. It's having these internal answers already in place for whatever route you choose to go. And so I think that works the same way when you talk about these guys. And listen, I'm talking about Jack Sanborn, and like I'm saying, no knock to him, but what he did last year he didn't come out of, he did this all camp. Like all camp long, every single time he got opportunities, he was getting his hands on the ball, he was flashing, he was making plays. And I would pull out my roster like early in camp. I had to pull it out again. Like, who's 57 again? Like, that's that Sanborn kid again. Like, and then after a while, you just came to expect him to do those types of things. And so when he has opportunities,
can't teach art.
Nah, and instincts. He knows it. He's able to diagnose it, and so that just gives you that extra half a second. Yeah,
absolutely.
But Shane, to your point, as the rosters sit right now, this is a team that reloaded through the draft.
Yep.
It's the fourth youngest team under contract in the NFL as it sits right now. So like it is weirdly we've been begging for years, build through the draft, and now they're like, okay.
And honestly, your two oldest players, you take off. Listen, and I'm not saying that I want these guys gone, but you take off Patrick Scales and you take off Cairo Santos off the roster just in terms of age. That fourth, probably you're at least second, if not first. Because I mean, Pat Scales is what, 34, 35 years old at this point.
Santos is 103, so that slightly changes the way that works. But yeah,
should we talk about that? I know a lot of people have been trying to push him off. I think I understand the missed extra points and stuff like that, but to me, that was more of a hiccup, and he got it figured out. I know there's a lot of people in the chat saying, move off of this dude, and I'm like, you better pump the brakes on that because I think we can do a lot worse than Cairo Santos.
And we have.
Yes. Do you have any thoughts on that, Herb?
Yeah, I think we did that before, right? As soon as Robbie Gould had that cold season, we were all, myself included, I was at that 49ers game when he missed that field goal, and I was like, yo, I hate Robbie Gould, right? You know what I mean? So I was ready to move off of him too. But we had gotten spoiled to think that you can just find a kicker anywhere. And then we haven't really been able to replace him since. And so I don't know that we should just move off of a guy who has been pretty consistent with his field goals. That thing, the extra point, I don't even know that he could do that again if he tried. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So I have to assume that's kind of an anomaly and that won't repeat itself.
I mean, in field goal percentage, I just looked it up real quick. He's in the top 5.
Oh yeah,
he was 21 for 23 last year.
I mean,
he missed 5 extra points.
But do you know who? Do you know who the number one most accurate kicker for guys who have kicked over 30 times last year was?
Robbie Gould.
Eddie Pinheiro.
Eddie Pinheiro. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're right. I'm looking at it right
So,
now.
I
That's
mean,
why I always
33
laugh. 33 for 35. Yeah.
If you, I know Hogan Johns have talked about it a ton, and even the national media, they used to talk about the kicking circus, and when the Bears brought in like 8 kickers and making fun of that. But I'm like, you know what? It fucking worked. It actually worked out. They ended up trading for Eddie Pinheiro, and he was solid. And then that went, but it led them back to Cairo Santos. So I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, you guys, it just seems like you're piling on just, to make it a story when it actually, the process got them to a pretty awesome solution, really, in Cairo Santos. Now I know people fall in love with the 60-yard field goal, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I mean, I know longer field goals are becoming more and more, customary within the league. But even overall, if you go back to like 1970 and you look at 60+ yard field goals, the numbers are actually pretty minuscule. And I said, he's very, very consistent.
He can hit a 50-yarder. I mean, he hit a 51-yarder last year. I mean, his longest is 55 as I look at it. But I mean,
and I'm not. Listen, I'm a Syracuse guy, and they got Schmidt. They brought him in there. He's an interesting prospect, but I'm not ready to move off. I'm not ready to move off Cairo at all.
And there's no reason to.
I'm cool with
He's
Cairo.
proven he can do it here.
Did we just do 5 minutes on the fucking kickers? Look at us, man.
Well, wait till we do these 7.
We're getting ready. We said we're going
wait
to
till we start talking about
it.
Messi to Miami. We got to start talking about Messi.
Oh Jesus, Claudio.
Already ordered.
Do you want
anyway?
You want to give? Do you?
Let's start talking about long snappers here, Shane, for a while.
Exactly.
Hot competition.
Claudio thought that who is your dude that you thought could step in and play running back in the league? What the fuck was his name?
Hold on.
Yeah, Mbappe.
Yeah, Mbappe.
Oh.
Hold on.
Every day.
We don't have enough time to get into this. This is a whole other show. Okay.
Yeah, Claudio wants to hold a sports science over here and get into the,
But in typical
Listen,
soccer
I was
format,
responding to somebody that said Tyreek Hill could go and play soccer and be the best
where's
ever,
that
which is
drop? I'm too
bullshit.
old.
That's what I was responding to, saying, Mbappe is.
It's a long one, Claude. Yeah, no, we can't go into soccer talk. We can't follow up soccer talk.
You brought up the debate. You asked me the question.
I know.
Another time. We'll actually have a logical debate.
Let's move forward from the linebackers and talk about this defensive line. Herb brings up a great point, and I know everybody's been talking about, pass rushers, and the Bears need more pass rush. But listen, if you really break it down and look at what they want to do, they want to get their eyes on these young guys and give them a chance to prove that they can't do it. Get them out there, get some preseason snaps, and see before they have to make a move. I think that makes sense. And listen, everybody wants instant gratification. And I know we're the same way here. We talked about, the Bears didn't draft a defensive end, go out and sign, Ngakoue or make the move. But they want to see, listen, and I know people get crazy. I've been an Alabama fan my entire life. And like Terrell Lewis is everything you want if he can stay healthy. People are sleeping on the kid. If he can stay healthy, the dude can play. He just never stays healthy. But that's what they want. They want to see if they have a undiscovered gem like that. He was a 3rd-round draft pick for the Rams. The kid just couldn't stay healthy. They kept him around here in Chicago for the offseason for a reason. They see something. They want to see if Dominique Robinson in his 2nd year with a full NFL offseason in the weight program can take another step before they see if they have to make that move. Herb, what's your thoughts on that? Oh, he's on mute.
Ah! You muted him. You're good.
No. I think he muted himself.
Hold
on. Uh-oh.
There he is.
Sorry.
Now he's back.
I don't know why I was muted. But yeah, I think these are definitely the kind of guys that they want to get a look at. These are the guys that they want to be able to see. They have the traits that they're looking for. And listen, the Bears weren't going to be able to answer all of their questions. Right. They weren't going to be able to fill all of their holes in one offseason. And as we see here today, this is not a team that's one pass rusher away from winning the Super Bowl. That's not where they are right now. And so continue the process, bring in these young guys, develop them, give them their opportunities, and see what they can do with those things. And I think that they got a couple of intriguing prospects on the interior of the defensive line and also on the edge with some of the guys you just named. See what those guys can do. Let's find out, right? And as they go through the season, I'm sure they'll get better. They'll get that experience. And then those holes that you need to fill next year when maybe you do feel like you have a legitimate chance to go and make a run in the playoffs, now you know exactly what those holes are, and you know what those holes are, why you have some money, and you have 2 first-round picks, and then you can go about filling those last couple of things.
Yeah, and I mean, if you, I'm not going to get into draft talk, but if you look and see who's coming out next year, let's just say the Bears have, the 9th and the 14th pick, and you're obviously not going to have any shot at Marvin Harrison or anything like that. You may be staring at 2 pass rushers with both those picks.
Be great.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be flush with pass rushers in this draft next year. So,
well, speaking of the draft, can I just piggyback on?
Go ahead.
Going after a free agent now, sign on a 1-year deal, trade to a contender, along the trade deadline to try to get a little draft capital, like a strategy along that line. Could you see Poles looking to maybe invest a little of that extra money we have in an effort to try to maybe get a pick? I'm not saying you're going to get a lot, but somebody that is a defensive lineman away at the trade deadline.
I don't know who it would be on this team, because I mean, it's not. Who are they trading for on this team? That would be.
Say they sign a free agent instead.
Oh, and then trade them.
Yeah, try to take your money, invest it, basically buying a pick essentially for next year's draft.
So if they went out and signed like Clowney, and then when's the trade deadline in November? If you got 6 wins and you're not going to make the playoffs, and I mean, I don't think it's a bad thought. Is it realistic?
I don't know if it's good business either.
Probably not. I don't know, but
like they did with Quinn,
Well, but I think it's possible. Like you look at along the way, like if you look at the teams right now that are in cap trouble for next year that have talented guys that may, like one team I'm fascinated to watch this year is Cleveland, because if Deshaun Watson doesn't return to form, you have to blow that up. You're going to be like, I think as it sits right now, you're 80 million over the cap. So Chris Jackal, to your point, like, do they go, hey, what will you give us for Myles Garrett? Maybe that's a step too far, but they're with all that guaranteed money to Deshaun, there's not a whole lot that they can do. The Chargers are over. Yeah. Would they look at moving Bosa because they're going to get rid of Mack? There are some guys out there. And so to your point, there are some teams that may have to start looking at the future and go, with the way our cap is situated, we've got to kind of reboot these things. So what assets can we get? And because of the way Poles has moved, there are assets that they can move to make them more, I've got 2 first-round picks. If Carolina all of a sudden isn't looking so hot, or we're not, our record isn't great, we're looking like a top 10 pick. Yeah, Cleveland might go, shit, we can get a top 5 pick for next year for Myles Garrett and some other things. Yeah, let's do it. And those are the things I watch out for.
Don't forget about that 25 second rounder from Carolina also.
Yeah.
That's another factor in all of this.
Big time.
Great call.
Yeah. So Herb, heading into the second round, the second day of the draft, you came on with Phil and I during the day, and we were chopping it up a little bit. And right before you're going, I'm like, man, where do you think they're going? And I'm like, what do you think about Gervon Dexter? And you and I kind of poo-pooed him a little bit, and I always had that feeling that he was going to be, if they didn't make the move for Carter, I just felt like he was going to be a guy that they were interested in. And I know the get off part of it, and I know Phil's not a huge fan. Phil's dad, Coach O, is a bigger fan, but if you really look at all the draft, he's getting a lot of positive momentum, Dexter. And I know the workout videos and everything are out there, and they had to meet the rookies with him, which was very interesting. But what are your thoughts on this? They just had the Zach Pickens one too, but I always like the move, and I'm going to be interested heading into the 24 draft, because you look at Ryan Poles, and I'm wondering if he's not going to do this. And this is why I brought up the pass rushers on the outside. He doubled up in the secondary as a move.
Yep.
He doubled up on the inside as a move. Is he going to do the same thing next year? Is that going to be part of his blueprint? It could be the third year in a row that you see a move like that. You start to see these blueprints that these guys like. And to me, it makes sense. And I'm not saying that you're reaching for guys, but you get these guys. I go all the way back to Tommy Harris, and then they came back around in the second round, and they brought in Tank. You get these guys that are going to be working next to each other. They're both rookies. They're going to be in the same situation. They're obviously going to be close. They're right there. And you look at Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker and stuff like that, and potentially they maybe do it next year. But this year with Dexter and Pickens, I don't think that they're going to come out of the gates and they're going to start. The Bears have, I don't think enough people are talking about Andrew Billings, what he can bring to this team.
That's key.
Yeah, it is. And you talk about Tremaine Edmunds, that's going to be your best friend right there in Billings up there. Sure. But talk about some of the youth, with Pickens and Dexter, on the inside of this line that are going to help free up these investments that we've made at linebacker.
So I like what they did there. I like the size, the athleticism, and the potential of those guys. I get a little bit scared about two names coming to mind. And while you're talking about doubling down, you guys remember Ego Ferguson and Will Sutton?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You remember when they did that? When they doubled down there?
Yeah.
And I was excited about those guys because you thought Ego was the big stout guy that could hold up at the point. You thought Will would be the guy that could penetrate and do those types of things. Didn't work out for those two guys. But that being said, man, you got to like what you see in these guys. Gervon Dexter is just massive. I mean, he is just a huge, huge kid. And it's like you see him and then you hear how his teammates have already talked about him. You hear how these guys are already speaking about him. Everybody from Justin Jones and Tremaine Edmunds, and they're like, dude, he's just big, right? And so I think there's a bit of a learning curve, and some of it is about just what the scheme called for him to do at Florida, and some of it is just bad habits that he can clean up. He's obviously nowhere near a finished product, but if you can continue to see him just be steadily improving throughout the course of the season and become a contributor in this rotation of the defensive line, can they find a way where they've got 7, 8 guys that are legitimate contributors? And if he's one of those guys that's really disrupt the middle of that in the middle of that defensive line, I think you got something to build on. Zach Pickens the same way. Both these guys have really good makeup in terms of their football makeup and football character. You got to like them for that part. And so if they can match their physical makeup and their football character, they can put that together in terms of shortening that learning curve of how to play at this level. I think the Bears could have found themselves two really, really good players in that interior of that defensive line. And again, this is not a defensive line that's set in stone. There aren't a lot of proven commodities on this defense. There's nothing stopping these two guys from becoming, starters even on this defense. Like Justin Jones should not scare Zach Pickens. He shouldn't scare Gervon Dexter and say, I can't
Justin Jones, I look at a lot like I look at Jack Sanborn. If he's your third guy in the rotation, that's a good
thing. That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. But if you call on him to be your disrupting force, your game wrecking 3-tech, he doesn't keep OCs up at night. He's not a guy like, we got to double team him every snap. I don't know if there's a guy on this defensive line that's that right now. So these guys have opportunities to come in and show I can be a major contributor on this defensive front. Now, I know they'll get the chance. We know that Flus is afraid to play these young kids. He's going to play them. Hopefully they take advantage.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but I'm intrigued to watch Walker this year because his interviews, like when you listen to him,
he's a motivated dude.
Get jazzed about
he talks it
as the guy, and I really expect to see him third downs playing in that 3-tech position.
Yeah.
Like I expect to see that quite a lot, and it'll be really fascinating to see who the other guy is next to him. It's hard not to get excited about Pickens after his videotape, and listen to his story with his mom and how hard he works. Dexter, the one thing I take away from he's been playing football 5 years, right? So who knows what he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of untapped
years.
Absolutely. So, but real quick, before we move off of the defensive tackle talk, since Herb kicked us in the nuts with Ego and Will Sutton, I gotta push back. I gotta push back a little bit. I understand they doubled down, but there is nobody anywhere that had fucking Ego Ferguson where Phil Emery took him. When they fucking took him, I'm like, holy shit. I had Ego as like a 6th-round draft pick. Will Sutton I did like, but as a junior at Arizona State, he was lighter. He went back for his senior year. They made him add weight. He got up to like 320 pounds, and he was sloppy as dude. He was sweating fucking maple syrup. It looked like he was
no joke.
Yeah, it did, dude. It was crazy.
No joke.
So I look at Tank Johnson and Tommy Harris. Those are obviously guys that we had, that we had higher. And I had Dexter in that range. I had Pickens in like a end of the second, very, very early third. So I had them in that range at least. I was never there with fucking Ego Ferguson. I just want to
throw it out because it just scares me.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
He doubled down again. You talked about it last segment with the linebackers.
Yeah,
he doubled down in linebackers in free agency this year. You know what I'm saying? He did it again at corner with Tyreek and Terrell. So if he thinks that a position needs to be overhauled, he's going to throw a couple pieces at the wall. Like let's double down on this thing and hedge our bets.
And you take it to the defensive back. Like it's not even. It was 2 last year, right? And then you go to this year with Tyreek. You got Terrell, and you've got the other kid from Stanford, Williamson, right? Like they're gonna. He's going to keep taking, he's going to look at traits in these later rounds, traits that fit a scheme, traits that, guys with some upside. Yeah, it's Travis Bell is one of those kids I think we're all going to root for on the defensive line because his story is so crazy powerful and what it looks like. But it does seem, Herb, like he's just going to be like, all right, if I've got to get 2, I'll go pick 6, and the best 2 will rise to the top, and everybody else will just get rid of.
Absolutely, no, I hear you, and I guess we can back up to the safety cars you brought up, Williamson, and he was the final pick of the Bears, right, Williamson? But I don't know, and I could be wrong. Are we sleeping on Hicks?
Yes.
I feel like he's a dude that internally the Bears are very, very high on and just not talking about for a reason. But there's something about this kid was a fucking baller in college. And I know he got dinged up a little bit. And I think, wasn't he a COVID year guy that he sat out? Didn't he sit out a year in college also?
I think he did.
Yep, I think he did. But Herb, I don't know if you've had any interactions with Elijah Hicks.
I like Elijah Hicks. He got his opportunities. Last year, Bojack went down, and he was able to step in there. And I think just like all of those guys, like that, the back end of that secondary, all those guys got a lot of opportunities last year. The Blackwells, the Jaylon Joneses, the Isaiah Hicks, all those guys got lots of opportunities this year, and they were back there, playing with DHC and like just learning the game, right? And so I think, all of that experience is going to serve the guys well. But it's specifically about Elijah Hicks. He's a guy who's instinctive. He's got the range. He's physical, right? You would like him to be a little bit taller, right? You just like him to be just a little bit taller, contest some of those 50-50 balls, but he's not. But I think he's a really, really intriguing prospect. And I think that, Coach Eberflus and Coach Williams are very comfortable with him being on the field when he needs to be. And so I like what I've seen so far from Elijah Hicks. I was excited. I mean, I was excited about him earlier. And then when his opportunities came, he didn't show that it was too big for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know this is a big ask, and I'm projecting ahead again, but if they decide that this is Bojack's last year into Chicago, this is a guy that that will have been groomed for 2 years. You know what I mean? And again, that's something that we're not used to here in Chicago. Polls are filled in free agency and with, big draft picks. And I said, to me, it's so refreshing that it's like, wow, there's actually a fucking, people talk about 7th round draft picks, just throwing shit against the wall, see what sticks. But it's like, there's actually a fucking plan here. You know what I mean? And it's so anti-Chicago Bears that I'm used to. It's really hard to grasp it and realize, that's what they're doing. But
Shane, I think you talk to that kid. He don't believe he's like some back end of the roster backup kind of guy. Like you talk to him, and after the games, he's like, "Yo, take me to this play." He's like, "Oh man, this happened, that happened, this happened. Oh, I messed up here. I got to make this play. I'm supposed to make that." Like he believes
accountability.
He is starting free safety in this league, and who am I to tell him otherwise? I like what I've seen from him. I really do.
Damn right, man. If you don't have confidence, especially at that position, it's over. It's
gotta have it in you.
It's over. You know what I mean? That's like when you were talking about Jaylon Johnson. I think he's a top 5 corner? Absolutely not. Do I want him thinking that? You're fucking goddamn right I do. I want him thinking that.
And Jaylon Johnson believes that. He's not just talking shit. Like Jaylon Johnson believes I will lock up Devontae Adams and I'll lock up Stephon Diggs and whoever else you got out here, follow him around for 4 quarters and put him on ice. He believes that. And I think that you got to have that. And he's got that short memory too. I remember asking Jaylon,
you need it.
This was last summer or something like that. I asked him during camp. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been like Goodwin or something. Like got behind him on a deep ball and scored a touchdown. And they came in there right after practice, and I was like, "Yo, Goodwin got behind you on that deep ball. Like, what's his speed like?" And he was like, "Got behind who?" I was like, "You." Like he got behind you. He scored a touchdown. He's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember. I was like, it was 10 minutes ago, bro. He got behind you. Like, no, I don't remember that. Like, just he was playing, but just that kind of short memory stuff. Like he lets all of that go, and it's like it's on to the next play for him every time he thinks he's gonna win the next round.
Right. And if you come across a DB or really any player for that matter, and if they're moping and you can see it on their face that they're pissed off, that's not a good thing.
No, they're gonna get beat again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the next time you're gonna get beat for 70, not 40. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the problem. So and again, that goes back to the blueprint that I'm talking about. When you hear Poles and Ian Cunningham talk about, that we identify these guys and we put a bear next to their name. That's all part of this blueprint. And I always take offense when they're saying, "Oh yeah, we throw 7th rounders," and they really make a mockery of day 3 for the draft coverage. Which we're gonna have a fucking Pelican announce the Tampa Bay Bucks pick. Just do the fucking pick. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ! It's these kids' moment.
Yeah,
I'm tuning in because I want to learn more about these guys. I want to see maybe a piece of tape that I didn't see. That's
most of the league.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
most of the league.
Listen, if you're a fucking degenerate like we are, tuning in to the 212th pick, I'm not there for the fucking dog and pony show. You know what I mean? I want to see the highlight of Kendall Williamson playing at Stanford. I want to hear them talking about the kid. But no, it's the overall attitude. Herb, you've been around these guys, man. You can tell when you walk into a locker room, you're fucked. You're fucked. And you You don't even have to talk to the guys. You can see it on their
No, you can
face.
see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was apparent last year in that locker room. Like, it was just after a while, it was just apparent, and the guys were hurt, and the guys that were left was like, just like looking around. They looking at each other like, who's gonna? There are no studs left in here. You know what I mean? And all those guys were down. It was just like, well, maybe Justin will run for 300 yards and we'll win. It's like, other than that, it's like nothing else was really happening. And so it got to the point later in the year they brought in makeshift lockers into the locker room and just set them in the middle of the locker room. They just needed more guys. And it's like everybody's walking around like, who is that? Who is that dude? Like introducing each other. It's like, there weren't enough guys. And so now you come into a locker room where there are
how the
legitimate.
fuck do you spell symbol with an N, bro? Right? Those guys.
Now you got legitimate top end talent in this league. You walk in, you're gonna see the DJ Moores, the Tremaine, Edmunds. You're gonna see guys like, oh yeah, it's a real dude right there. You know what I mean? It's just a difference. It's not a knock to anybody in that locker room. If you on an NFL roster, you are really, 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 really good at football. But there are levels to it. There are levels to it. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you need guys at that top tier level, and they just didn't have enough of those guys last year. They had very, very few of those guys the majority of last season.
Absolutely.
All I'm taking from this conversation, Shane, is my short attention span when it comes to what my wife tells me means that I am ready to be a cornerback in the NFL. That's
right.
all
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. We need more white corners there, Jason Sehorn.
Yeah. Thanks.
Herb's point, right?
Yeah, thanks, Herb.
You goldfish. You goldfish. Memory.
But one thing I'll tell people, my son and I have season tickets to Syracuse, and they've been horrible for a long, long time. But it doesn't matter if you're a horrible college football team or whatever, or if it's in the NFL. Herb, I'm sure you've experienced it. If you've ever had an opportunity to be on the sideline for a Division I college football game or for an NFL game, it will absolutely blow your fucking mind that anybody knows what the fuck is going on. We got to go down. My son and I got to go down and be on the sideline for 2 quarters for Syracuse versus Purdue. And my son, I'm like, Riley, just wait. It's just going to be blurry. You don't realize how amazing athletes every one of these motherfuckers are, 1 through 90. It's crazy. And you take a handful of those guys, and they're the only ones that are going on to the next level. You know what I mean? And that just shows you even more. If you've ever been on the sideline, man, it's a sight to be seen. And
then only a handful of those guys are gonna dominate at the NFL level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
small percentage of human beings.
Yeah,
of human beings, exactly, Jack. Like this is of human beings that can do what these dudes are out there doing. When you talk about these elite level players, I saw somebody talking about these fireworks back here that they do over here on the lake. And they did the NASCAR race over here in Grant Park like a week or 2 ago, right? They brought NASCAR and they raced the cars through the street in downtown Chicago. And people were like, yo, I went down there and the power and the sound is like, you don't understand until you stand next to these things, like how ridiculously it is. I remember the first time I seen those damn those Clydesdale horses.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's crazy. Like, you stand next to that type of stuff and you feel the power and you can feel that speed. And it's no different when you talk about high level college football and the National Football League being just you can feel it. And it's like, I'm not like that. We are not the same kind of human.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, not at all. I always look back and you remember Brian Scalabrine, White Mamba.
Yeah. Oh, I know
people giving him a bunch of shit, fuck this. You sit on the end of the bed, I'll go and whoop your ass. He's like, all right, yeah, okay. Let's just see. And he had that one dude out. And I did the guy even score?
No,
I think it was like 21-0. Yeah, it was crazy. But that's what it is. You can. And listen,
that's Scalabrine. He was the 13th man on a 12-man roster. I mean, that's
exactly. But that just shows you, dude, they're different. It's different fucking level. And I've been guilty in my day. I get animated just even, watching the bull. I'm like, dude, you fucking suck. You know,
we talk
Herb's
shit.
talking,
and and it's okay because you do fucking suck
Yeah.
to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like you do fucking suck to be in the NBA, but don't get that confused with he'll show up at your rec league and you think he's Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Five
Like,
alone,
yeah.
Dickie Simpkins will give you 100. Like, stop playing. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
Ed Neely's gonna post your ass up and dunk on you.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Like, it's
No,
different. It's a different situation.
There's levels to this shit.
Those guys are insane. Like, so I used to do like a rec league in Lombard, and Des Clark would show up. And right, Des isn't the biggest of dudes, but the footwork that guys have for their size from that position is just
agility.
unheard of. Like when you're 250 and you're in out of shape, because he's been out of football for a few years at this point, and he's pulling spin moves on like 25, 26-year-old kids that are talking all sorts of trash to him. Like, yeah, you guys, they're just, same species, but you would have a hard time convincing me that we really are, because they have another level. I mean, like, he was still even taking it easy at that point. Like, there is more he could be doing. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Darnell Wright. You know, think about the size of that dude, and I don't even think people grasp. I mean, just go back to watching him work out at the combine and watching him run, and the fucking size that dude is, and think about that's the fat, slow kid on the field. That dude is. You know what I mean?
That's the unathletic dude.
Right,
unathletic guy.
Yeah. It's
Can you imagine him punching you in your chest?
Cave my chest.
So everybody's gonna critique his punch all year, right? His punch. Can you imagine a dude punching you in your chest? Like, for real? Yeah. Knock it off, man. Like,
dislocate my spine, man. He hit me right there.
Well, it's always the 5'2", 125-pound guy. Like, man, that punch ain't shit. And then you're like, yeah, let's go to the tape here. You're gonna hold the sled block for a day and see block and sled. Let's see how you hold up even then. You can't.
It's them all you got to do as people. I hate those people. Like, no matter what we're talking about, it's always somebody like, oh, no, all you got to do is. I hate all you got to do as people. Like,
yeah. It's got it all figured out. Yeah. I tell those people they're just lucky. They should feel lucky that their mom's basement has Wi-Fi, so they can contribute in some sort of way. It's crazy. But let's hop over to the offensive side of the ball. I know we talked about the wide receivers a little bit, and I know one of the big debates that we've had here on TTNL, and Phil and I were on opposite ends of the spectrum. I think Cars has been on my side. Herb, I know we've probably talked to you about it, but talk on it a little bit more. I think Cole Kmet's going to get paid. I think he deserves to be paid. I think the arrow is still pointing up, and I just think that the trap that people fall into is expecting him to be Kelsey or Goddard or Kittle, and that's not who he is. That the Bears know that's not even the position that's not what he's asked to do in this offense. Talk on the tight ends, and do you think he's going to get paid?
Yeah, I think that Cole Kmet is definitely arrow up. I think you look at the second half of the season from him last year, very, very impressive. And I'll be honest, I came into last year and I was sick of the Cole shit. I was like, listen, I'm tired of talking about his potential. I'm tired of talking about how good he can be. Like, is this dude good or not? That was my question coming into last season. And I said, I'll give him 8 weeks. I'll give him the first half of the season to decide, is he good or is he not? And he started out slow, and I was like, here we go. And then he picked it up. And I think that all he has to do is just continue to play like he was last year. And I think towards the second half of last year, and I think that having, the DJ Moores in there and get a healthy Mooney around him, and if Chase Claypool can contribute too, that's all it's going to do is help him open up the middle.
Tanyan's going to help him, bro.
Absolutely.
Ton.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And again, another thing that
having that two tight end package like that, you talk about getting down in that red zone and the ability to go DJ Moore, Tanyan, Kmet, Claypool. You talking about 4 dudes that should give you just size mismatches across the board. That's a really intriguing package to be able to have once you get down in that red area. And so I think that the things they'll be able to do with having Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet on the field at the same time is intriguing to say the least.
Yeah, and I think when we're talking about a Cole Kmet extension, and it's really easy to forget about. I mean, Cole's what, 24?
He's coming into the league. He's coming into season 3 or 4, Shane?
What's that? What do you mean?
Now,
4.
For Cole Kmet,
4.
4, right? Kittle came into the league at 23.
We came. He was the COVID draft, and that's what I want to talk about. These guys
Kittle,
came in
Kelsey.
20. So he was drafted in 2020, but don't forget the COVID year matters, man. These guys didn't get the normal. Listen, it's hard as a rookie that you don't have a normal offseason anyway. These guys, their first taste of it was training camp. You know what I mean? And at that position, it's not everybody comes into the league as a tight end. It's pretty rare. Not everybody is putting up blanket on the tight end in Atlanta that regressed. Yeah, not everybody's not everybody's doing that. It's usually about a 3-year window where you see that. And I think even with Cole Kmet, I think you can give him the 4th year to ascend even more, because that COVID year, that's a big deal. Tight end is hard anyway.
Yeah.
You throw in the COVID year on top of that, and I think that contributes to it. But I'm with Herb. I think the arrow is still pointing up, and I know Phil wants to see another year, but if I can pay him now and save money later by paying him now, in case he blows up, I have no issue. And I think he's what the Bears want. I think when they put the Bear up, they're talking about putting the Bear up, next to a guy's name. I think he encompasses that exactly. Darnell Mooney's the same way, but to me, they're not paying Darnell right now. They want to see how he works out, with the ankle. And I know when we get into the wide receiver talk, we can talk about they didn't draft Darnell. And I know I love him, but they also drafted Scott. What's going to happen with Claypool? But back to Cole Kmet, I think he's going to be, you see these guys getting paid. I know they did it with like Forte. They did it with Eddie Goldman, these training camp guys that got their extension. I think you're going to see that happen with Cole Kmet. I think he's going to be the guy that they're going to pay.
If they believe in him, now will be the time, right? Like, do it while the price is as low as it'll be. Because if he goes in here and he's 800, 900, now you're talking about a different situation. And so, if you believe in him, now's the time to go ahead and get him locked in. And so, I also think that's the shortest route to 65, 66% for Justin Fields, right? That tight end is the tight end, the running backs too. But you talking about getting him up to that 66, 67. If you want him in that range, having that big tight end in the middle of the field is the way to do it. I mean, he's going to hook up with DJ Moore often enough and Mooney and those guys. But when he's in trouble, to find a 6'5" friendly face in the middle is what you want. And especially when he's getting one-on-one with middle linebackers or whatever it's going to be, because of the attention that DJ Moore is going to get, Cole Kmet should really, really, really be able to eat. And again, if you think he's going to eat like that this year, that's going to drive the price tag up. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to go ahead and get that done before.
And to piggyback onto that, the guy I've always done the comparison for Cole is more like Mark Andrews, right? Physical, size-wise. Cole Kmet just finished his 3rd season and is at 23 years old. Mark Andrews was 23 years old his rookie season, right? So when you look at those things, those sort of things kind of matter in his growth. And listen, I love Mark, right? He's an all-around really good guy. He's not gonna, he's not gonna be.
Kelsey and Kittle were both, I believe, older.
They were 23 when they
were drafted. Yeah. So you're talking about a dude that was 20 coming in, and that shit matters, man.
It's a lot of young veterans that Ryan Poles and his staff targeted. You talk about, we always talk about Tremaine, DJ Moore's the same way, Coke. So a lot of young veterans that are entering their second contracts that are still really young dudes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great point. Yeah,
and they chose to come to Chicago, which I think is a good thing to see for those types of free agents that also, next year and moving forward, you got guys that want to win, and they see Chicago as something that the right way.
The Brinks truck that's parked at Hallis Hall definitely helps.
I mean, that gold shiny.
But let's be honest, and listen, if they All it's going to take is if Justin Fields takes that step and he meshes with DJ Moore, that Herb, you know as well as I do, dude. People that is going to move the meter. It's Chicago.
It matters. Where else could he have gone where he could have signed? And as soon as he signed, he's like, yeah, I could easily become the greatest wide receiver they've ever had.
Exactly. Yeah.
No
so
bullshit,
true.
no exaggeration, no nothing. Like
yeah.
I can become the greatest wide receiver they've ever had. And I think that should be that should be what they're thinking. And he should be able to produce that realistically.
No, I totally agree because
that helps everybody down the line, man. It's
well, and then if Justin is the guy that a lot of us think that we are, you're looking at free agents that come up and go, they're young, they got cap space, they got good guys, they've got guys under good contracts for a couple more years. If I want to win in a place that most of the players always that come here, they love the city, they love the fans, right? It's a great place to be. All of a sudden, you're talking about free agency of like this becomes a destination, and that's how you make that. You go from that like 7-10, 8-9 team to all of a sudden like you're 13-4, and you're like you're ready to feast because people are like, I want to win. This is a great city. They've got it. Let's go. And I know it puts a lot into Justin, but it's like you can see this in a manner of 2 years. Again, next year when we're probably on Hard Knocks of like the storylines being so different.
Oh yeah.
And so like exciting to actually be a Bears fan instead of trying to talk me and myself into like, we're going 8-8 and we're going to make a crazy run in the playoffs and we're going to do this. It feels the ceiling's a lot higher.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Just to wrap up the tight ends, I still I know I want to see more of Chase Allen, the UDFA last year, and they obviously the Bears have a lot of faith in him, but this tight end class in this 23 draft was so deep, and they actually called like the overall depth. They were saying that, it's something that we haven't seen before. I was a little surprised they didn't jump into that just to have a guy. I was a big Laporta fan, and I know he ended up going a little bit earlier than even I expected, but the Bears never pulled the trigger on that at all. I was a little bit surprised. Was that a thought that you had, Herb, at all? Or do you think it's just speaking to the faith that they have in Kmet and Tanyan and even a Chase Allen?
I'm really comfortable with where the Bears are tight end right now. I just really am. And being a team that has so many holes, I don't know that was a spot they needed to say, okay, we got our number one guy that we feel good about, and we may be re-upping him soon. And then we bring in another proven guy to play next to him. Do we need to then dip back into pool? That was more luxury than need. I know it was a conversation, but I feel like that was more luxury than anything else. And so I was perfectly comfortable with them kind of not dipping their toes into that pool, although it was enticing for sure. But no, I was comfortable. I'm just comfortable where they are. Listen, man, you got the kind of personnel they can throw out there in that 2 tight end package. And even if they want to go bigger than that, they can do those types of things. And so, and what that looks like with how they're able to move those guys around, and, you can do different things with them in the run game and the passing game. And I just like the versatility that both of those guys bring. You got a lot of familiarity in terms of bringing Tanyan into this system. It's not a whole lot of a huge learning curve there. So they should be able to hit the ground running in terms of moving those guys around and creating mismatches for not only them, but for those wide receivers. You start to motion those guys across formations with DJ and Mooney, you get some defenses lost, and now you got guys running down the middle of the field, and Justin should be able to hit them with no problem.
But I think you nailed it. Like the one thing that's always been missing for me is we've been terrible out of the 12, right? Like we've been so predictable when there's 2 tight ends on the field. And Jimmy Graham was didn't move the needle whatsoever. And so now to have legit 12, to be able to do that, to mix and match, to probably even do a little bit of 13 looks with these guys and be able to run and pass out of those formations. Herb, you nailed it. The the flexibility is something we've never had. Like last year, you're going to go throw out like, all right, I guess EQ, I guess you're the X receiver on this route because we got nobody else sitting here laying around. Now everybody's kind of settled into these better positions, and you're like, all right, this works. Now we're a threat everywhere, every place on the field.
Help me out, y'all. Who was the big tight end when we drafted the kid Evan Rodriguez out of Temple when he was supposed to be like the kind of move guy? Who was the big tight end that we had then? Y'all remember?
Oh,
because they were talking about creating these two tight end packages out of 12, and it was like I can't remember the big one was though.
That wasn't Kellen Davis.
Kellen Davis?
I think it might have been. I think it might have been Kellen Davis.
Well, don't you remember Kellen Davis? I fall down. The dude was always on the fucking ground. He's 6'7" out of Michigan State.
He lives.
I think it must have been Kellen. Yeah.
True story. I got Des Clark to nearly punch me out because when we were playing basketball and a ball went through his hands, I said, "I thought you were Des Clark, not Kellen Davis," and that was very well at that moment.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's funny when you make comments. I took
it was Kellen Davis.
Yeah, it was. It's funny when you make comments directly to people that are involved with shit like that. Riley and I went to the Bulls and Raptors game, and we were lucky enough to be able to go back in the locker room and meet with the players and talk to Coach Donovan and stuff. And he's like, "Well, what'd you think?" I'm like, "Hey, I think we would have won if Vooch could catch the basketball." And he kind of like looked at me like he wanted to say, "I know exactly what you're fucking talking about," but he was like, "Oh fuck, I can't say a word." But it just made me think of when Carr said that. You know, these guys know it. Oh Jesus, Vooch drives me.
I remember Fendi Onabone. I thought he was gonna be a stud too.
Oh yeah.
I remember he had like a big preseason. I was like, "Oh, that dude's gonna be a beast." Yeah, that didn't happen either.
Yeah.
I heard you may not know this about me, but I've loved every third string tight end that we've ever had. Like I was the president of the Jesper Horsted fan club. You know, I always
like Jesper.
Yeah. So I've been in that same boat. Like some folks, it's the fifth string wide receiver that has the big preseason game. For me, it's like the fourth or fifth string tight end. I'm like, that's the guy. That's our Kittle. This is gonna happen. Chase Allen is Kittle 2.0. Just wait.
This isn't really trivia, but this might be a fun little segment. What are the most random Bears preseason? I don't want to say stars, but some random Bears preseason names that you can throw out there. Do you guys remember
Rock Forsey?
Oh yeah. Gosh. Yep. Actually, he had a 100-yard game against Arizona. He started that game in regular season, but remember what about Ken? Really? Do you remember Ken Mistroli?
Mistroli, yes.
Oh yes,
the quarterback.
Yes.
Fabian Bones.
Oh
yes. Fabian had a big preseason.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who the best one was though. The dude from Illinois State, the wide receiver, he went on and got a contract from like Houston or something like that.
Not Cam Meredith.
Cam Meredith, yes.
Yeah.
From NIU, right? Or he's from NIU or Illinois State, one of the two.
Illinois State,
yeah.
He shredded his knee against the Titans, right?
In preseason, we're expecting that big breakthrough. Yeah. He was going to be our kind of to your earlier point. He showed us something, so instantly he was our number one wide receiver. We didn't need anybody else.
Yeah, we discovered Marcus Robinson from the Rhine Fire. We got our wide receiver for the next 10 years. And, yeah, that's
he had his 10 touchdown season. And we like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. What are you popping up there, Jackal?
Cam Meredith.
That was Cam Meredith.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Cam Meredith.
But there's been some. I'm trying to think.
There's always Cam Darlings, man.
Yeah. Remember we had Darnell Autry back in the day.
Shout out to Darnell Autry. Wildcat. Yeah, man.
Yep.
There's been anybody with hype like that coming into this training camp, Herb?
Some like under the radar names, you mean with hype?
Yes. What's the
whether it's a personal favorite or just something that
No, I'll tell you the kid I really like who's been impressing me all spring. As soon as I can remember his name, he's the pass rusher that they signed as an undrafted free agent.
Rasheem Green.
No,
not the
he's
free
been
agent
in the
they
league.
signed.
Oh,
He's been
Not the free agent they
a little bit.
signed.
Oh,
I'm talking
it's,
about
it's
shit.
D'Anthony Jones, is it?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it's D'Anthony Jones. Yes, it is. It's
kid from
D'Anthony
Houston.
Jones.
Yeah.
Yes. And that dude has rare traits. I mean, his ability to bend, right? See him going through the bags, how he flips his hips, pivots, reverse backs upfield. He's getting through that thing as good or better than anybody else on the roster. That's not to say he's the complete package. You got to wait to see how pads come on, how he's able to deal with, weight and things like that. But just in terms of his ability to move and bend, he's rare. He's very, very rare in terms of his ability to do those types of things. And so I'm very, very intrigued to see how that translates when he gets the pads on and what he does with his opportunities. Because again, like we were talking about earlier with the young defensive tackles, it's the same thing for these guys on the edge. This is not a proven defensive front. These aren't guys that are insurmountable in terms of spot or depth chart. You can overcome some of these guys. And so if he's able to, show improve in practice and then go out there and have a couple of splash plays in the preseason, it's the guy who can certainly be in the running for making this roster and have a chance to be. So he's one of the guys I really, really got my eye on. I know we talked about Lewis earlier, but D'Anthony Jones is another guy that I found to be really, really intriguing in the spring.
Yeah, again with Lewis, it's just it's injury. He has not stayed healthy. He didn't stay healthy at Alabama. He didn't stay healthy with the Rams, and he's if you can't make the club in the tub, as they say, and you can look the part. And if you can't get on the field because you're dinged up, it's just you're never going to make it. But
Bojack talked highly of him though. Like Bojack talked highly about him. Eddie Jackson talked highly about Lewis in terms of being in Alabama.
Oh yeah. And listen, if you put out a blueprint of what you wanted your pass rusher to look like, it's that dude, Terrell Lewis. I mean, he's yoked up, and there's not a lot of negatives to his game if he's healthy. He's just never healthy, like I said. But
he beat Darnell Wright a couple times.
Yeah,
in one practice.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people made a huge deal about it, and I'm not making a huge deal about it, but he did beat him like clean too, like back snaps just blew right by him. Once on a speed, once on a spin to the inside, I think. But he's got what you're looking for if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more about me mentioning that is more about him than it is about Darnell Wright. It's not. I ain't saying nothing about Darnell Wright.
100%. Yeah, and listen, these guys know who the top 10 pick is. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Listen. These guys are fucking competitors for a reason. They know that. They know that shit. Darnell's a little slow because of that fucking signing bonus. That's. You know, I mean,
and he won 32 this year. Like everybody knows he's going to be one of 32 right tackles in this year.
Yeah.
Let me get some good tape on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But isn't it? But Herb, isn't it kind of fun to be coming in? Like we've been talking about a lot of these different positions, but for once, like you can go across every position and have an under, like not even just one, like 2 or 3 different under 25-year-old kids that you're excited to watch come out and play. Like this is, again, I have no idea how it's going to work or how it's going to play, but like I can't sit down and pick a favorite competition right now or position to go watch because I want to go watch Darnell Wright, but then I do want to go watch Pickens and Dexter. I want the cornerback room, maybe one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see Tyler Scott out there on the field. And what's his name? Rashawn Johnson at running back. Like all these, there are so many young guys that you have hope for that everything you read about their work ethic, the way that they are, who they are, and how they can perform. And they've done it at the collegiate level. Like it's really refreshing to not sit there and be like, hey, if this 37-year-old guy is still healthy, still has something in the tank, we've got something. It's like, no, man, we've got like 15, 20 guys under 25 we all believe in.
Yeah, no, hope and optimism aren't the same thing, right? And I think far too often we just be around here hoping shit. Like, oh, I hope He can do this. There are legitimate reasons for optimism on this roster, and then the fact that a lot of it is young bodes well not only for this year but for going forward. And so I think that's a really, really good thing for me. You talk about the most interesting things. I'll definitely be watching the 2 defensive tackles. I want to see those kids like just down in, down out, just see how they deal with the reps they're getting, what their conditioning is like, how in this month or so off, those types of things. I'll be watching them a lot. I'm really intrigued by the wide receiver competition, just the depth of it. Who's not going to make it? Because I think right now, and this is just my math, I think if they're going to keep 6, right now I see 7 guys fighting for those 6 spots. And so to me, you're looking at you're looking at Velus and you're looking at Dante Pettis fighting for that last spot, because you got DJ, you got Chase, Darnell. I think Tyler Scott makes the roster because he's the draft pick. EQ, I think he makes the roster too. And to me, that leaves Velus and Dante fighting for that last spot. I give Velus the heads up, not only because he's the 3rd round pick from last year, but just some natural things, some traits that you can't really teach. That being said, if he has another case of, where he's muffing punts or he's dropping open passes, Dante Pettis is a natural punt catcher, natural punt returner, and he can make some nice catches for you. He's a veteran. So that being said, I'll watch that competition a lot. And then you look at the cornerback, just the depth of it, right? You expect Tyreek to continue to ascend and lock down that other corner opposite of Jaylon Johnson, but then what's happening behind him? Kendall Vildor, is he injured of not making this roster? What does that look like for Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, Terrell, all these different guys? So I think watching these camp battles as they develop, can Noel School run that Sanborn? Like, can he chase him down? I don't know if that happens in one offseason, but maybe.
Yeah, man, it's a great point. It's again, I know I keep on referring to this, but to Carr's point of position by position, really, there's upside guys no matter where you are on the depth chart. Yeah, there's a lot of unproven guys, but there's interesting prospects at every single position group, every single level of it.
And the competition, right? Like we heard early on in OTAs, Velus was struggling to get off the line against Tyreek Stevenson with how physical he was. And then what did we hear at the very end? Velus was getting off and he was making some plays. And so now the places where, to me, you're both the youngest and the most is riding out. Day in, day out, you're going to be watching Tyler Scott go against Stevenson. You're going to be watching.
Tyler Scott does not want that smoke.
No, he does not.
I'm telling you.
But you get that with that young roster too, though, Cars, right? Like you're not going to get that with a room full of veterans. Like you're not going to get those guys wanting to, go to battle every day, and you're going to see these young bucks just,
You can stick me all day sitting in there watching Tevin Jenkins go against Dexter, right? Like that to me is going to be like,
I'm here for that too.
Big fun, and you watch these things and you're just like, I don't know if I go to camp, I have no idea where I'm going to be looking. And there's going to be too many places where I'm going to want to sit there and go. And it's just so unusual to have this feeling, at this point. Like it used to be like, I love to watch Akeem Hicks go destroy somebody time and time again. Now I just want to see him compete and see, like we heard Tyler had problems all OTAs with Tyreek, like all sorts, couldn't get off the line, couldn't get clean, couldn't go. I want to see how he comes back in camp and how he looks and if it's better and if he's come with a counter, and that sort of stuff is just rare for us.
What's going to be me to watch is kind of how these guys just go about their business. You mentioned Akeem Hicks, and what I used to like about watching Akeem Hicks in practice was just how he went about his business, specifically during individuals, and how he led that D-line, all those D-line drills, just watching him on the sled, boom, boom, on the bags, all those types of things, and then watching just how he went about it, getting back up to the front of the line. He didn't feel his rep was perfect. He's coming back, moving the next guy out of the way. No, I'm going again. That type of thing. Or are you guys just going to kind of go through your rep, know it's kind of half-assed, and then just kind of hide in the back? Or do you want to come back up there and do that thing again? You talk about these guys, but who amongst these young guys are going to rise to the level and talk about leadership, right? That those intangible things, those are things that you can kind of just see when you get your eyes on them. That's a little bit different. That kind of sets guys apart. And I want to see what that looks like for the Roschon Johnsons, for the Tyree Stevensons, the Tyler Scotts, all those different guys. How do they look when they're getting coached up hard, when they maybe don't have a good rep? Then what happens, right? And so those are the type of things that I find to be intriguing when you really get a chance to watch them up close.
And I think that's a great point, because I think DeMarcus Walker is going to be that guy for this team. Like the way that you look at him, he was leading defensive line drills, like and stuff kind of off campus. But yeah, I remember a couple years going, and Akeem got pretty upset that the lineman across from him didn't take the reps seriously enough, and he made the offensive lineman line back up and do that drill again so that he got the rep that he wanted.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't just for the lineman, but he's like, no, I want the rep. I need this. You're going to do this the right thing. Let's go. And that you're right. I totally want to love that. I just want to watch that over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think I hit that one again there. But yeah, it's just, listen, how many years, cars have we said here, competition breeds success. And that's one of the biggest things when you have a young team. And you know how it is, Herb, you walk into that locker room and it's, I always go back to when Lance Briggs was finishing up here. It was just, it got almost to a toxic level, because there was, you were ushering out the old guard and trying to bring in, because I mean, you listen to those stories, and these guys are all, similar ages, and I think just the competitiveness, and I think that all matters. But I think we have to talk about this here. I know we've talked about it just about every show, is the elephant in the room at the wide receiver position, and I know we want to talk about Velus and stuff, but you got to talk about Chase Claypool. And I think an interesting topic is, and people hate this, but what if
you about to say he might not make the right?
No. What if you hit with Chase Claypool?
He's gonna.
They're the sky's the limit for this offense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But then from that, they're invested in him with the second round draft pick.
Sure.
What happens then with Darnell? Because you have Scott that they're invested in. I think it's an interesting debate. And listen, and this isn't a negative against Darnell Mooney, and unfortunately he got hurt. This front office didn't bring him. He's not their guy. He's what they want if they hit, if he's healthy and in that. But
sure, I
don't think they're going to pay. Do you think that they're going to give DJ Moore $20 million and then pay Chase Claypool and pay Darnell Mooney if that's the option? I don't think that they're going to go there. But what if they hit with Chase Claypool? How do you think that whole thing unfolds?
I think it's a lot. My answer to that is kind of multifaceted. I think I will say first, I think that Darnell Mooney is going to be a really good player in this offense. With this team,
totally agree.
I'm a big believer in Darnell Mooney in terms of how he works and then what he brings to the field. I also have some serious concerns about any young player that the Pittsburgh Steelers cast off. They
100%.
don't cast off young talent. The same is true with the New England Patriots. And so we saw that with N'Keal Harry. And he comes in, it's like, well, the Patriots don't get rid of young talent like that. So he's probably not just going to hit for you. I feel the same way about the Steelers. That being said, we talk about hopeful and optimistic. I am hopeful that Chase Claypool can become Bears need him to be, because if he is, the sky is the limit for this offense. They could be really, really good if he is that guy. And so that being said, man, you go back to the Rams winning the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Their top 4 receivers would have been the Bears' number 1 receiver, right?
Oh, yeah.
You talk like all of those dudes, Cooper, OBJ, Vance Jefferson, Robert Woods, like all them dudes in the Bears' number 1 receiver. And so you got to have a lot of weapons, man. You look at what the Bengals are running out there. Like you got to have a lot of dudes, and so I don't know, how the money shakes up, and maybe it does leave Mooney kind of on the outside look in terms of re-upping on the contract, but they still got Mooney for at least a couple years if they want him. You know what I mean? He can't just leave tomorrow whether they pay him or not. So
absolutely. I think it's a healthy debate because you don't know, and they are invested in Chase Claypool. But with that being said, they can also move off of him very easily. And yes, it cost you a high draft pick, but that's the price of fucking up in the NFL, and it happens with every single team everywhere. They have those, and part of being a good GM is realizing the mistake, knowing that it didn't work out, and moving off of it. You can't make it worse by saying, "Oh, he's 24 years old. I invested this into him. I'm going to pay him, and let's see if it works out." And that just makes it even worse.
Once you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. You know what I mean? Like that's just really what it is. And so
put the shovel down.
I think that if we're not like this, but Chase is in line first to get money if they're both playing well. Like they both have great first halves. They got to go ahead and sign now, right? Because Mooney, like it or not, you're here next year. Like this what it is. And so, like, I think that you talk about Chase, if he's having a good first half.
Is he under contract? I thought Mooney's a free agent too, though, right?
He's a free agent after next year?
After this season, yeah. I think he's a free agent too.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah. 5th rounder. Yeah, I believe so. Because I believe
no rookie option on that.
No, because he's a 5th rounder.
Right.
So you're talking Claypool, Mooney, Kmet, Jaylon Johnson are all up for contract. That's why I think this is such an interesting topic.
Okay.
Because I mean, you're talking.
Interestingly, sorry, but Darnell Mooney is 26. He will be 27 next year.
Yeah, they're both free agents at the end of the day.
Chase is 24 years old, right?
And Chase is 24. Those things matter.
One regime brought one in and the other one didn't.
Yeah, so I imagine that Ryan Poles is secretly rooting for Chase over Moon, right?
Right. Yeah. And listen, and this isn't a slight at Darnell Mooney. I'm just saying Mooney. If they no, I love he's everything that you want in a player, and Phil's brought it up. It's like one of the best blockers on the entire team. And one of the smallest players. Yeah. And that, it's
one of the biggest hearts too. Yeah.
Absolutely. But there is a debate there to be had that nobody really likes to talk about, and it makes you think, where is the investment? The investment is in Chase Claypool if he proves that he's worthy of the extension.
Yep.
I think, sorry, Shane, to piggyback, you look at this like Cincinnati, because Chase is more like your T. Higgins, the true number 2 guy, if he can put that season together. There's no
and it's
fault
a big
in being
and it's
Floyd.
a big if. It's a big if. Let's be honest.
Yeah. There's no problem in being Taj Boyd, right? Like those guys are wonderful guys, but the difference between being a true number 2 and considered by teams a number 3 really changes your value. And so the one thing we should all watch very early on is where the targets are going.
Yep.
Outside of DJ Moore, who is seeing the number 2 amount of targets? I don't think it's a good thing if it's Cole Kmet. No shame to Cole, but that means that Chase and Darnell aren't doing it. And if they are, watch where that ball is going. Watch who they're trying to isolate. Watch who they're trying to pull defenders away. It's going to show you really quickly who they want to feature and who they think is just an additional piece.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just watching the chat. I'm just watching the chat a little bit, and like, guys, none of this is nobody is bagging against Darnell Mooney. No. It's just real talk. You have to. This is what
it's the reality.
Front offices and coaching staffs, when it's midnight and you're at training camp, these are the fucking talks that are going on. This is the shit. This is the shit that you'll see them sitting at a table on Hard Knocks that you can't hear everything that they're saying. This is the shit that they're talking about, and it's healthy debate, and I think it's unfortunately a lot of people aren't comfortable because they're looking at it as a negative towards Darnell Mooney, and I know it's a big ask for Chase Claypool to take that next step, but also will I be absolutely floored if he takes the step? I won't be.
No,
I won't be.
Steelers
and that's what Ryan Poles is supposed to do. Like that's his job, right? He's supposed to do that job that maybe most of us don't want to do. Most of us don't want to, talk about the realistic possibilities of parting ways with Darnell Mooney or parting ways with David Montgomery or Roquan Smith. That's his job, right? You talk about, Jack Nicholson on the stand and A Few Good Men. Like, you want me on that wall. Like, most of y'all don't want to be like that's his job. Like, that's what he's supposed to do. Yeah, you need guys like that. And so that's what he's to do. When we're up here talking about, how good can Jack Sanborn be, Ryan Poles is supposed to be in his office trying to figure out what next offseason looks like and who may or may be here and what may have to happen to get one of those things done. And so that's just the reality of the situation. And so I will say this, and these are just the interesting things you talk about, who's going to get those targets, the relationship between Justin and Moon, and just the chemistry they've been able to build, the friendship that they have on and off the field. I think that matters. And you go back to a couple of things that were said this offseason. The first thing came from Justin when he got back and he talked about how much different Chase is this season than he was when he got there last year. He's like, it just seems like a night and day, completely different dude. And he came over last year, and it's just hard to kind of get acclimated. You're talking about moving across the country and trying to learn these new guys and fit into a new locker room. Never mind fit into a new system. Fit into a new locker room. I just don't think he was able to do that, at that point in the season. And then recently, you heard Mooney talking. Shout out to Kalen Sharkey. He was talking Moon. Shark was talking to Moon, and he said he didn't name him, but just listening to what he said, I took Chase Claypool from him. He was like, sometimes you come over and you just don't like them. Like, I just don't like them, and you don't really know why, and it just takes you a while to learn to like them. It takes them a while to learn why they are the way they are. And he's like, now I've had a chance to understand why guys are the way they are, and now we can be okay. Who the hell else is he talking about if he ain't talking about Chase? You know what I mean? Like, So to me, that was just like, he's talking about Chase.
Yeah, Potsy referred to it last year because I think it was it the Jets game where after the game, Chase Claypool didn't he lose his shit in the locker room? Was it the Jets game? Yeah. Potsy was talking about, and he said the funny part about it was, and I think it was it was either the Vikings game or the one Lions game. What was the one we had all the fucking quarterbacks in? Was it the Vikings game?
Yeah.
It was the Vikings game. Well, anyways, there was the 2 interceptions. Who was the fucking quarterback that threw the
Peterman?
No,
you had no. It was the other one.
The third dude.
The guy Claudio I saw against the Jets.
Well, whatever.
Jeez.
Yeah, I can't even think of his name. But anyways, there was the 2 picks, and both passes were to Claypool.
Yep.
Chase was blowing up, and when they went back, both picks, Chase Claypool ran the wrong route.
Trevor Siemian.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Siemian, and then, but who was the other dude that got it? Tim
Boyle.
Tom Boyle.
Tim Boyle. Yeah.
UConn lad.
Tom Boerwinkle. Yeah, something like
that. But yeah, but Potsy was talking about him blowing up in New York, and you remember that game. If you go back, Justin didn't play that game. You go back, Justin walked over to Chase Claypool on the sideline.
On the sideline.
And was talking to him and stuff like that. And I think, Herb, that points to your fact where he was talking about Chase Claypool being different. And to your point, man, coming into a new offense, being traded mid-season, that's no small feat, especially at that position. And you're relying on somebody else to get you your money. They have to throw you the ball. And granted, just the frustration you could see. Look back to the Miami game where he had a couple of opportunities that were just taken away from him by calls that weren't made. That one pass interference. I mean, he was dragged out. It was horrible. It was horrible. And that, you know how it is. It's a just like at corner, wide receiver is a confidence position. You bring one of those balls down, it can be a completely different story. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think all that matters, and I think oftentimes with these athletes, right, we don't view them for whatever reason as human, right? We don't factor in that element of it. And I think that you come into this new locker room, this new team, and I think the other guys are like, okay, y'all brought him in, and now everybody's like he's supposed to come over here and save us. Fuck him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like who is he? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I can understand a guy like Darnell Mooney being like, okay, I got skins on the wall over here. Like, don't tell me this dude coming in and now all of a sudden we supposed to be this, that, and the third. Then he got hurt, and then there's frustration and all those things going on. And so I can see how that wasn't a natural meshing of situations and personalities. And so hopefully they've had an opportunity to spend some time in the offseason and develop some off the field chemistry that should pay dividends on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And and one thing that we haven't talked about here, and when the season ends, we're going to know draft positioning.
Yep.
So you end up with a third pick in this draft via Carolina, or if shit
Both
goes
of y'all
wrong.
can go.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what? Come on down, Marvin. I mean, but that's real talk. You know what I mean? Then they're definitely not going to pay two guys. Maybe
you go put Marvin Harrison on the outside and you put Tyler in the slot, and we good again.
Yeah, and with DJ Moore, but
guys on rookie deals,
but again, that's something that. But you're going to know that you're going to have that answer before you get to free agency. I mean, months before it. So it's
and that's the other point that's going to make this season so much more fun, right? Like first thing I'm going to do after I watch the Bears game, while I'm watching the Bears game, how's Carolina doing?
Yeah,
how's Carolina doing? Where's Carolina at?
Hell yeah!
Like the excitement.
That midget get broken half yet? Let's go. That's what I'm going to be waiting for.
Like, as football dudes, we never be like, yo, I really want this dude to get
Dalton
hurt.
playing? Come on.
It's kind of like, listen, I hope Bryce Young from year 2 to year 20 is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hall of Famer, year 2 to 20, Hall of Famer. This year, snap everything in half, sir.
Suck.
Listen, everybody knows that I'm an Alabama fan, big Bryce Young fan, and I'm Phil's not with me on this. I think Cars is. Jackal, I'm not sure where you lie with it. I couldn't have done it based on nothing but his frame, and I'm just being honest. To me, it's an absolute complete outlier. If he's 6'3", 225, you probably take him number 1 this year and don't move off of it. Those are the traits that he's got. I mean, with his anticipation and everything, he's that talented.
God, but that
frame, man, it's
so
just
bad.
It's so he is. I laugh, when they're, he's 201 at the combine. I'm like, dude, that dude had 5-gallon buckets in his room sucking down water. He didn't play at 200 pounds at Alabama.
He was 200 pounds there, and they wouldn't let him get weighed again.
Yeah,
right. They made a
exactly.
line in his head. Like,
you heard all the change rattling around.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. I mean,
he had ankle weights on, and
he played at like 176 at Alabama, and I mean it's just the truth.
I'll say this, man. I think it's a relevant conversation that's always going to come up with size and guys coming into the National Football League. But if he's small today, he's been small his whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
He didn't just get small. So he was small in high school, he was small in college, and he still dominated at every level he's been at. So I have to assume that he will be able to figure out and play. That's just an assumption. But it's a reality to say, listen, when one of these 6'6", 265-pound dudes puts his helmet in your back, does it snap? Like
Cameron Jordan at New Orleans tees off on him. Where are you going to be at the next day? How long are you going to feel that hit?
Yeah,
right?
and let's be honest. When
Vita Vea fall on top of you.
Oh,
yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, Chicago plays him. You think he wants Andrew Billings on top of him?
No,
you know what I
he doesn't
mean?
want
Yeah,
that.
just
No,
any.
no.
But this is the thing. He's gonna make plays, but I just don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sold that it's sustainable. I mean, there's going to be moments where he has big games, and another thing that you have to factor in here is having a small guy like that in Chicago outdoors in December. I mean, has Bryce ever played in a temperature below like 75 ever?
Hand size comes into play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a California kid, and like I said, he's just it's gonna be interesting. He went to a spot where he's not gonna have to deal with a bunch of bad weather and stuff like that, obviously. But
we saw that though with Jared Goff, right?
Yeah.
Like the second it gets cold and Jared Goff is your quarterback, you're done, right? These warm weather guys can't do it in the cold.
And one other factor is more times than not, when you're a smaller quarterback like that, you have the elite level athleticism to escape. And that's not Bryce Young's game.
He doesn't have that either.
At all.
Right.
At all. I mean, there was times at Alabama where his mental state, he would make plays and he's got that lightning quick release that would get him out of trouble. But there's going to be moments in the NFL where he's going to have to escape and use his feet to gain yards, and that is not his game. This ain't Kyler Murray that we're talking about.
And the other thing is 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, the other 10 guys on the field with better than the other 10 guys on the other side of the ball at Alabama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn right.
So when I'm in trouble, I'm almost sure my receivers are beating their DBs. I'm almost sure my guys are holding up at the line of scrimmage. My tight ends are getting open. My running backs are. I'll just dump this thing off. Like it's a different situation.
Yeah. Oh shit,
when
we're
you
up
go
56.
from Alabama
We're up 56-3. Yeah, we. You know what I mean? And it's halftime, right? It makes a difference. NFL's a 3-point league, pretty much. It's
I
just
the windows ain't that tight. The windows.
No,
my bad, Jack.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Yeah, the windows, they ain't those windows that you see at Alabama when the guy is, 14 yards open. That is not happening in the
different.
NFL.
You can shuffle the pocket, I'll shuffle right, shuffle left, and he found the guy. That dude been open for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be the same when you got those guys at Carolina. That's no diss. I mean, they were able to sign, Adam Thielen, and they drafted the kid, and so they got some talent, but it's just not. It's at this level. It's just different.
Yeah, and they've made some nice moves. I like some of their draft. They drafted the kid from the Ole Miss, the wide receiver that I'm a fan of too. But,
according to Miles Sanders, it doesn't matter because they've got Hall of Fame
Randy
Dalton there. So
that was cringy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
Miles is too busy looking for his pregame festivities in Carolina that he was so used to in Philly. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it, because those are quite the stories. Herb probably knows what I'm talking about already. But
counting money.
Hey, listen, I don't blame him. That's a hell of a pregame festivity. I ain't gonna turn it down either. But
Dalton got his great shoe game. His kick game is real nice. Andy Dalton's his shoe game is real nice. He's got all the Jordans and shit.
Oh shit. So we're 11 o'clock. Let's wrap this up here with some running back talk. And this is another fascinating position group for this team. And listen, I love Roquan. I was excited when they drafted him. I thought a lot of the adoration and franchise pillar talk was a little bit over the top for 4th round draft pick.
Whew.
I laugh her because I brought it up on draft day. I'm like, what's so funny is Ryan. And listen, I'm not bagging on Ryan Poles for it, but it just shows you the game that is played. he's like, yeah, we were stunned. We couldn't believe that he was still there. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you had the first pick in the 4th round. You traded down. Let's not forget that. So you thought so much of him. You traded down 14 spots. So it didn't really matter that much to you, you know, at the end of the day. Not saying that Roquan's not a great player, but
but nobody knows it like that. I've never seen such effusive praise heaped on a 4th round pick who was the backup at his own school. That's not a knock on him. He played behind the top rated back in the country. Shout out to Bijan. But everybody's like, yo, Roquan's gonna be this great back. Like, who the hell has seen that? Like, who's seen it? I hope he's the next great Bears back. I hope we're like, Sayers and Payton and Forte and Roquan Johnson. Like, I hope that's where we're at with this thing, right? But who's seen that? Like, who? Like y'all are really, really reaching on this thing. I know we've done well back into the draft with running backs, Jordan Howard and Cohen. Cool, we've done some things, but like, slow down a little bit.
I can say this because it's a safe space, but I haven't seen us overhype a later round running back since David Montgomery. So, let's just get that out of the way right here.
Ours taking his swipes. But man, I mean, he's lucky to. Did you see him working out with the?
He almost got shot back to Chicago with that band wrapped around him.
Man, that would have been awful if he.
Detroit probably wasn't happy about seeing that video.
That's why they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, listen. You're not going to find a better person than Demo, and I totally get it. But you sign that deal, and you're like, I feel good for the kid, and stuff like that. And listen, I think Chicago was involved. Well, I don't think. We know for 100% fact because we have a source that was Demo himself. He didn't want to be here because of the coaching staff and the way that things unfolded. I'm not breaking any news here. He was extremely upset when he would bust off a 15 or 20 yard run and then boom, he was pulled out of the game and Khalil was in there. And it's, it is what it is. And listen, if you're a running back, you see everything that's going on right now with Saquon You have Saquon saying, maybe my philosophy is going to be fuck you, New York, and all this shit. And listen, I understand it, but at the end of the day, Detroit thought so much of David Montgomery, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, 6 weeks later? I think we lost.
Yeah, we lost. I just like to take shots at David, and I loved him as a player, right? Like, it is what it is. But, like, I just want my wife to love me like Chicago Bears fans love late round running backs.
And listen, we're not bagging on Roquan at all. It's just, to Herb's point, it wasn't just Ryan Poles shouting him out. It was the Bears area scout saying, the Bears area scout was the one that actually called him, a franchise pillar in terms of, leadership. And I'm like, holy shit, this isn't a top 10 pick that we're talking about. This is a 4th rounder that you traded down 14 spots in the round for. But
they did that big piece where the running back coach was like, you guys got to understand, like, he was cleaning up water bottles after look,
I'd be doing that shit as a 4th rounder too.
I mean, all good stuff, right? But it doesn't mean anything. I am intrigued by him because he's probably the true 3-down back of everybody, right? Like, he's a better blocker than what Herbert has shown in that, and he's a better receiver that you've seen out of Foreman so far. So it's intriguing.
Yeah, and I would even talk about his blocking. I think if you took every running back available in this draft, I think he's top 2 in terms of pass blocking. Roquan, easily. I mean, that's a big deal. But I'm a fan of Khalil Herbert. Am I going to be shocked when Foreman is starter? I'm not going to be surprised. Are you, Herb?
No, I'm not going to be surprised by that at all. I think this whole thing will kind of go, like I know we hear running back by committee a lot, but I think it'll really be like that. I think they'll go with the hot hand week to week. Whose skill set best fits our game plan for this week versus this particular opponent? I think they have enough running backs that are capable enough at different things to be able to do that. And so, and that includes Roquan. Again, like I said earlier, two things true. I can like his traits and some of the things that I think he can bring, and be like, hey, slow down on this Hall of Fame talk y'all doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a both and conversation. And I just think, that's just kind of, where they are in this conversation with these running backs. They got a lot of good guys that do a lot of different things well. And, hopefully they'll be able to deploy them in a way that maximizes their individual skill sets.
That's the Seattle model, right? Like that's what Seattle has been doing for ages. It's I'll rotate this guy in. We'll go hit Chris Carson for back-to-back weeks. And then you're not going to see him for 6 or 7 because we're going to rotate 2 or 3 other guys in. And it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, listen, you talk about the Bears have been giving out 1-year deals to players. That DeMarcus Walker got, a 3-year deal?
Yep.
Let's not forget, Travis Homer didn't get a big contract, but he didn't get a 1-year deal either. Nope. Homer got a 2-year deal.
Right.
And that's obviously the special teams ability and stuff like that. And listen, I'm not trying to bag on Roquan. I'm excited. I want to see. I'm going to be super excited to see him out there. But it's just like I'm wondering if they didn't go out of their way so much because they feel like they lost the ultimate leader, ultimate Bear type, try hard guy in Demo. That they're almost trying to force feed Roquan into that spot. I'm not sure, but it just I've never seen anything
me neither.
We see it.
We
see it all the time.
John Robinson. Robinson called him a god. He said he's the other running back in this draft. I mean, he's getting praise from his peers. Granted, his teammate, maybe his best friend, but
they talked to players They talked to players at Texas, and they said that he was the guy in the locker room.
Yep.
And that it wasn't Bijan, it was Roquan. So, it's going to be interesting.
I don't think all these people were lying on him. I think all of those things are true about him. It's just still, it's like, y'all, we got him as this Pro Bowl. It's like, look, just wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, just wait a minute. Say he's a good draft pick. We're excited about him. Cool, but slow down everything else. And I think that you had the area scout talking about, hey, as soon as I got on campus, everybody was like, hey, you got to see Roquan. You got to see Roquan. No, you got Bijan, but you got to see Roquan. Everybody from the people, the cafeteria staff and this training staff and everybody else was just, high praise for Roquan. That's great. But I'll say this, I liked everybody in that locker room last year.
Yeah.
We're great dudes. You know what I'm saying? They were really good dudes. They were nice and they cared and they seemed to like each other and they had a lot of fun and they, joked and back and forth with each other. They won 3 games. I'll take a couple of assholes if they could ball. Like, don't just tell me, hey, these are great dudes, great dudes, great dudes. Can that great dude ball? Like, that's at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I understand that.
Well, Herb, don't you think that points to their first round situation? Like if the Bears, if the Bears were in contention, they're drafting Jaylon Carter.
Right.
If they're Super Bowl contenders, they're not taking Darnell Wright. If Jaylon Carter fell there, they're taking Jaylon Carter. But the locker room is so young in its infancy; it's not ready for that yet.
They couldn't take that on. Like you got to consider the worst case scenario when you're drafting that high. Right. Yeah, and if the 100%. Worst scenario happened with Jaylon Carter, the Bears were not in a position to withstand that. Whereas the Eagles are. Jaylon Carter don't have to do shit. Like he could literally be a bust and it won't really matter to them what they got going on.
No.
So, they were in a better position to kind of take on that kind of risk than the Bears are right now. 2 or 3 years from now, the hope is that they'll be able to, chance a risk or two. That's not where they are right now. But again, eventually got to get to a space where, listen, who can ball? Who can ball? And I think that the here in Chicago, we've seen the greatest example ever of that. The Bulls locker room was able to absorb Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Most locker rooms couldn't withstand that. But the locker room that they had at that time, bring him in. We got the infrastructure to deal with that. And then he helped them win 3 championships. So hopefully the Bears will get to the point where they're able to take on some of those types of risk.
But I think there's two positions we do this to all the time. We talked about one of them earlier in Jack Sanborn. We've done this at the running back position, whether it was like Jeremy Langford because he had 2 games.
Yeah. I thought Jeremy Langford was going to be so good.
Yeah, if it's a running back or it's a linebacker, right? Like we're gonna overhype
Chicago,
these
the
guys.
Bears.
It's what we do, and so it is kind of a game to be like, all right, this offseason, who's gonna be the guy that we're all way too excited about for really minimal reasons? And it looks like it's gonna be, again, to your point, Roquan could still be very good, but as of right now, there's not enough to be like, oh no, this guy. Like, there are people polishing a bus for Canton already.
Cars, listen to the press conferences. I don't care who the linebacker is. You listen to the press conferences. On his introductory press conference, I'm like, hey, how do you feel about stepping into the shadows of Urlacher and Briggs and Buckets and Singletary? Like, I don't even see those shadows. We're talking to Nick Morrow. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Why are we asking Nick Morrow about Brian Urlacher? That's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? But it's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what happens when we have a bunch of senile beat writers at certain points where it's like, what do you feel about Dick Butkus? And the guy's like, I have no idea who that person is. Like,
I'm 22.
Yeah.
That
name doesn't mean shit to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
what
TV
that's
shows
the. He on?
Right.
What's that?
You said what TV shows he on?
Oh,
was he on Modern Family? Was he the dad?
That's why I always laugh about these guys come in, and the one thing that you guys have heard me talk about it for years. I always laugh when the Bears get a new coach and Team Ed walks up to the coach and he's like, "Here's the script B hat that George Halas wore," and I would say, I don't want to wear that hat. I'm gonna wear that dope white one over there. You know what I mean? I don't care. That's exactly what the fucking Bears need. The whole the Bears and 1985 and all that shit. Get the fuck out. I don't care about
they
it.
They need a bunch of people in that building who don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, they do.
No,
and
they need to get to the point when you go to the stadium, it is more current player jerseys you see than 2005 or 1985. Like if every time you go, it's like Dent, Urlacher, Singletary, Peanut,
Hester, Buckets.
Hester. And I love these guys. I got Hester behind me, right? Love them. But the ones that are going in the man cave this year are going to be Edmunds, Fields, Moore, right? Yeah. If you're going to do this, it's got to be a new age. And if all we're doing is high-fiving us for being sort of good and not winning as many Super Bowls as we should have in the 80s, like we're doing something wrong here. And that's just the way it is.
Absolutely. I'm just I cringe every time I hear anything about 85 and the monsters of the Midway, and just
I see Brad Maynard jerseys when you still see punter Brad Maynard jerseys,
Rex Grossman jerseys,
and Adam Podlish jerseys, and you're like, guys, this is just. I saw
cars.
This is terrible. Who is that tiny little white guy wide receiver that Phil loved? That guy from Braverman, and the other one that was from Ohio State. Sanzenbacher. Dane Sanzenbacher. When we were at the Detroit game, there were Sanzenbacher and Braverman jerseys. Like, guys, come on, aim higher. I know you spent $29.95 from a bootlegger for this thing, but you can let that thing go and let's get someone.
Cherie has a Moses Moreno jersey.
No, I do not. I was gonna say about
Moses give it to you.
Well, Shane, I don't think the Bears got your memo about the Bears. Have you seen on the app?
Open the app. I know it's their fucking hashtag on Twitter so forever. I don't even. I refuse to fucking use the hashtag. It drives me fucking crazy. But that's what it's funny, that like Roquan will come up and they're like, oh, hey, did you talk to Chicago? Not too much. Well, how do you feel about playing in Chicago? And every fucking one of them, such a rich tradition. That's what they fucking start. And I'm like, fuck, what? There hasn't been tradition here in 40 fucking years, dude. You know what I mean? That's Larry Mayer meeting you at the door and saying, see how fucking great we were in the mid 80s when your dad was in 7th grade, Roshan? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, shit drives me nuts. That's why we haven't even been fucking mediocre, and it's time to
don't make
turn
me
the
trot
page
out
on all of this.
Don't make me trot out the Ted Phillips stats that are like from this century, which are so abhorrent that we are basically like a win a season better than the Detroit Lions. That tradition, that rich tradition, doesn't mean anything.
It's not
anymore.
true.
It's
It's not true. It's not true.
Yeah,
it never has been.
It's just not true. It's like, oh, they got such great traditions. Like, I've been a fan my whole life. I ain't seen none of this. So what have you seen at 22 years old, sir, that has eluded me for my entire life? Like,
yeah, look at this banner behind me, right? All the Bears championships. We have 8 NFL championships before the Super Bowl. We've been to 2 Super Bowls in the Super Bowl era. We're at like 0.2% or 2% of the available Super Bowls we have been in. The tradition.
But
go ahead.
I'm just saying we get excited about like symbolic stuff that don't even mean nothing.
Yeah,
before they broke from minicamp and Justin Jones sat on the podium. Justin Jones, right?
Yeah.
Who we talked earlier was like, yo, if he's your rotational D tackle, great. Yeah. If he's supposed to be your game wrecker, you're probably in trouble. He sits on the podium and he's like, oh no, I wish 12 was still here so we could beat him. What the fuck are you talking about, sir?
No, I know.
Like you don't want no smoke with Aaron Rodgers, sir. And you had an opportunity last year. He beat you twice, sir. What are you talking about? You didn't sniff that man, sir. Like, what are you talking about?
No, man.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I don't know what Herb. It's the sir that gets me. It's like the polite way of flipping him off.
It's pacifying. It's pacifying the meatheads.
Yep.
You know, the meatheads will fall in love with that. Yeah.
Remember, like Calbert Cheney was like, "I'm the Jordan stopper."
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, Justin Jones has no business talking about Aaron Rodgers. But then, what my point is, though, right after he said that, everybody was like, "Oh my God, that may have been the greatest thing we ever heard in a press conference." Like, what?
Herb,
why? That was stupid. Like, if Warren Sapp says that, then it matters. But if Justin Jones says that, he's just woofing. Like, be quiet, sir.
Herb, do you remember when Lovey got hired?
Oh yeah.
News media went nuts when he's like, 2 things that matter is winning Super Bowls and beating Green Bay. And every person was like, finally, someone that understands the importance of beating Green Bay. Somebody, listen, Green Bay has beat us a shitload. Hasn't really made a difference to win in a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl matters. Who you go through, who you beat, doesn't fucking matter. Go win a Super Bowl. I don't care if just win. Just compete. Be a threat to make it year in, year out to the Super Bowl. That's the win. Who cares? Who cares about anything else?
And Flus was the opposite. Flus was like, it's like it's 1 of 16 or it's 2 of 16, whatever. We got to play them, but I don't, whatever.
I was more impressed with get your track shoes on. Yeah, you know, that's what got me. You know, that's what I love to hear. All the shit about, you know, listen, we all want to beat Green Bay, and if they go out,
of course,
if they go out and lose week 1, it's gonna be a fuck. You can't, Herb. They gotta win.
When the
Green
Green Bay Packers are playing the Baltimore Ravens, that the fans are walking into the stadium going, beat Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't matter who the Bears are playing. When you come through that little underpass in that tunnel, everybody's like, beat Green Bay. It's like, they're not even here. What are you talking about? Like, calm down. Like, and we don't even beat them.
Yeah. But ironically, Lions fans talk that way about the Bears. And it's like, guys, aim higher, right? Like, go somewhere. Just go win.
Yeah, we put out a YouTube short last week from Adam Rank when he was bashing the Lions fans and, you know, all the love that they're getting. And listen, I get it. To me, if I had to put money down on who I think is going to win the division. If I didn't want to lose my money, I can see Detroit. Listen, am I a believer in Minnesota? No, absolutely not. Am I a believer in Jordan Love leading Green Bay? No. Do I think Chicago's ready? Probably not. Would I be absolutely floored if they're in contention? No. But if you're going to say Detroit, well, Adam Rank was talking about that and bagging on him a little bit and all our fucking comments. And I'm like, oh my God, these Lions fans were talking like they're, back-to-back Super Bowl chance and who the fuck are the Bears? And it's the same type of deal that we're talking about. And I'm like, just go out there and fucking, they're like, yeah, we swept your ass. Well, we won 3 games. Everybody swept us, asshole. Jesus, who cared? Is that your crowning achievement? It's like when Peter Bukowski starts railroading the Bears on Twitter and everybody fucking blows up and goes crazy. I'm like, Peter, you yourself say that the Bears are a shitty franchise. So why is that a crowning achievement other than you being a grimy fucking bitch on Twitter to try to rile up Bears fans? That's the reason. But yeah, man, turn the fucking page on all this. Fuck 1985, fuck the Bears and all that shit. That's why I'm glad Kevin Warren's here. Ryan Poles is here. Ian Cunningham is here. I feel like it's a different direction with a different mentality, and we're not relying on, shit tradition. That doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Tradition. Exactly.
Tradition. And I like.
Tremaine, why did you sign here? Oh, I saw the tradition of the Bears line. No, they fucking paid me a shitload of money. That's
no.
Why.
He wanted to play in the non-existent thing that we call bear weather because we play so great in the cold. And that's the other
number. 49 was available. 49's available everywhere, bro. Nobody likes that number. The fuck?
Sorensen likes it in KC.
Yeah. All right, we're going a little bit overtime. Herb, you've been awesome with your time. We're just going to head into shout-outs here, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. So if I can find where there it is.
Yeah, there's a major lag going on.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay SpencerStrong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam.
The network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some this part signal show is at its end, but for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Claudio Jane getting nervous cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say that get the shot of vital. But hurry up cause the postman's getting homicidal.
Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real, SpencerStrong.
Uh-oh.
We'll clean all this up in post. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Holy moly.
Shane, are you okay?
Salt water in the internet.
And you're muted, so it's cool. All right. Well, since Shane can't talk, Jackal, let's.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, darn, there it goes.
StreamYard is not having a good night.
No, definitely not
at all. I don't know if you guys are. Was it very laggy for you guys?
It has been a different.
Oh yeah, I had to go in and out, restart my computer. It was all messed up.
Yeah, it's
somebody
definitely...
flagged that for a clip for Claudio. He had to go in and out.
Oh please, Cars.
Yes.
Listen.
No. Too late.
I'm gonna clip you saying it.
Cars. Phil actually texted me. He was listening to your take on Montgomery. Let me just read this right. He said, "Fuck you."
I'm sure that's what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
Good, he's paying attention. Good. I'm glad he's going to listen to what I say.
All right. Well, we always start with our guest / co-host first. Herb, you have any shout outs?
Man, as always, I just want to shout y'all out. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always dope to come hang out with y'all for a few hours and talk Bears, man. It's always a good time, always informative, always passionate. I got a great following who know what they talking about, know what they looking at. Y'all do phenomenal work. So just huge shout out to y'all. Shout out to the Bigs. Follow us. We do. Shout out to all my whole family over there at the Bigs that do great work, whether it's the Cubs, Sox, Bulls, Sky. So shout out to the Bigs. Follow us at It's the Bigs on Twitter. Other than that, man, again, I just appreciate, the time to come hang out with y'all. It was a good time as it always is.
Love it. Cars.
Oh my Lord. I'm so rusty. I don't even know what to do in this segment right now. It's been so long. No, listen, I mean, it's for me, it's always about the group and the people and family and how important everybody is here, and that we're always here for each other and supporting and never running away from that. So thanks to everybody, and it was good to be on and talking football again.
Absolutely. The lady of the house, Miss Cherie.
I just want to say my government. Okay, appreciate that. No, just honestly, it was fun tonight having a gang back together. So I missed you, Cards and Jackal. Thank you guys.
No one has ever said that before, so please, somebody clip that. That has never been uttered on these airwaves.
Herb was awesome being a co-host. So y'all, it was like I said, it was really fun talking to y'all. Hey, Herb. But I definitely want to shout out our two guys who unfortunately have still been traded away. I'm still gonna shout him out. He got a birthday coming up Friday, so I want to wish him a happy birthday.
The big 5-0. Can you believe it, Herb?
Happy birthday, Phil.
50.
And also, the Shane birthday happens before the next show. Happy birthday to you.
25. I was destined to be a Bears fan. I share a birthday with Sweetness himself, July 25th.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
Oh, that's what's up.
Always destined to be a Bears fan. Thanks, man.
How old are you gonna be? Shane, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm gonna be 29. No, I'm gonna be 47, bro. I'm up there too, bro.
Fuck, we're old.
Yeah, we are all
You
old.
guys are.
I'm old. I'm old with a 2-year-old. So how do you think I feel about that?
They report to camp on your B-Day, man.
Yes, sir. That's the best present every single year because it's usually July 25th, and I look at it and I'm like, oh man, that's like how it is when you get a little bit older. The presents and stuff doesn't matter like that. It's spending time with family and seeing your kids, but secretly,
so if you could get one birthday present from training camp on the field, like what would it be?
A nap.
One thing.
Shane would
well,
choose
besides
a nap.
the nap, absolutely, yeah. I just want to see the offense. I want Justin Fields to go out there, and I want the holy shit. He's the fucking dude. We got our fucking guy. You know what I mean? I want everything is there for him to take it. And the best part about it is, Herb, and I talked about this kind of pre-show, I never believed in Mitch as being able to handle Chicago, everything that comes with it, the media pressure. Justin Fields is fucking built for this. He's built for the pressure. He's built for the fucking media. He's built to win. He's been born and raised that way his entire life. And we're there now. They went out and they got you your number one. They got you your guy. They got you other weapons, and it's fucking time, man. It's time. That's what I want. I want to go out there and I want to see holy shit moments from Justin. I don't want to see. I know there's going to be some struggles, but that's what it is, man. It comes down to quarterback. Listen, you get that right. You hit that. I'm not worried about the fucking defensive tackles. I'm not worried about the defensive ends. You get that figured out. You're on your way. You're on your way, and everything beyond that fills in nicely. I mean, I want to be Philly. I want to be Philly last year at this time when there was questions around Jalen Hurts, and then look what happened. And are we Philly? Is our offensive line that right now? No, it's not. We're not there. We don't have the defense that they do, but still, Jalen Hurts took a massive move forward in his game that not a lot of people believe that he could.
It's all coming.
And I happen to believe that he's built for it.
Yes.
He's got a higher ceiling than Jaylon, in my opinion.
100%. And I was the dude beating the drum to draft Jaylon in 2020 in the second round. I was that guy. And people are like, no, fuck that. No, you have to have those guys, and you're damn right he's got a higher ceiling. To me, it's not close.
Yep.
He's that dude, but I want the quarterback figured out, man. I hope we have to be like, holy shit, he got that. He got paid that. I want that. It's time. So, Mr. Jackal, welcome back.
I mean, I wasn't finished, but okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sheree.
My bad, Sheree.
Man, she's salty.
Tell him, Sheree.
I came back for the right show, throwing those haymakers.
Oh, she kicked him out.
I did not.
You kicked him out.
I did not kick him out. Shane probably did that to make it look like I did.
Oh, wasn't me.
Might have been me.
But no, also wanted to shout out my other friends. I got a lot of July people birthdays in my life, so wanted to say happy belated birthday to my friends whose birthday has passed this week. But I'm not gonna list them all because it is quite a few. So happy belated birthday to they know who they are.
In the chat.
Hard to be so popular, Sheree. Really,
it really is. I'm loved by everyone. But no, good show. Have fun. Welcome back, guys. And Jackal, you can say your shout out now.
Grossy. You got anything else, Sheree?
No, I think
Jesus. Double check with her. I don't need to be in the ball.
Showrunner.
I never heard music playing too to shut your mic off, but I wasn't sure. But it was a pleasure to hear your voice, Sheree, as I look over. You know, it's great to see all you guys. I've missed all you guys. Herb, I was so excited to see you. Know you were coming on. It's always a pleasure when you grace our airways. So thank you. We are all smarter for having you here with us this evening. So thank you for that.
About that.
And, hey, a little bit. Move the bar a little bit. It's a win, right? But hey, inches, miles, they all add up. But with that being said, I have missed all you guys, man. I've been away a while. Family will do that to you. Priorities take me away from, some of the things that I love doing. But nonetheless, I'm happy to be here. I just can't wait to see what we have moving forward as a family, but as a Bears show and a Bears team on the up and up. It's super exciting. I can't be, Shane, your birthday being on the 25th, I feel like it's mine too, just because I'm that excited.
Yeah.
It is fun, and I hope for the same things you do, because the pieces are there for our guy JF1 to take that ascension to that next tier. And man, I'm super excited for
time. We've been waiting for it, man.
Yeah. So thanks for having me back, guys. I missed you guys.
Oh yeah. Claudio Vernicola.
I'm trying to make it quick. Obviously, shout out to all.
That's
you
what
guys.
your wife said. That's your biggest problem, she said.
That's it. Trying to make it quick. I got too many kids. I got too many kids, bro. I don't need no more.
You're there, fool.
I got too many. Herb, awesome, bro. You You always bring it, man. You're no lie. You're definitely one of the best reporters out there because you keep it real, like you did on this show. I love it. We all love it.
My brother.
Shout out to you guys. Yep. Shout out to you guys. Obviously, Cars and Jackal. It's like a reunion. I'm kind of liking this, so got to do it again.
Yeah, man. Next Wednesday.
Shout out to this guy. Let's see if it comes up.
Yeah.
There he is.
Look at the mix on that guy.
He caught a foul ball at the Cubs game tonight.
Nice.
Look at that guy.
He got doubt in his hands. Look at
He
the
is
size
happier
of those
than a
things.
pig in shit. Look at him.
That's it.
So,
he told
yeah.
me like 3 days ago, he's like, bro, I'm not going to be able to go to the, or not going to be able to be on the show. I'm going to the Cubs game. I'm like, all right, just wanted to apologize to you about the loss in advance. He's like, fuck you, bro.
Well, I'm glad he had a good time. He
That's
deserves
caught a
it.
ball, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta give a shout out to my guy Bo. I can't come on here and not give a shout out to my guy Bo. I love that kid. So
yeah,
since you put his pops up, like,
of course,
say what's up to Bo.
I like that you give the shout out to the kid and not Ivan himself. So that tells
Oh
us
no, it's
where
Bo.
we all
it's
get
Bo
it.
100%.
We all get it. We all know
Who?
Ivan. We get it. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, and obviously shout out Phil. You know, he's having his fun. Hopefully everything's good. Positive vibes to everybody.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
Phil. And then real quick, I said at the top of the show, me, Ivan, and Alex will actually be at practice at training camp August 1st.
Nice.
We have a few tickets available. Hit up me, Ivan, or Shane if you're a patron, and we'll try to get you tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and we'll be doing this periodically. We have some more in our arsenal along the way that we're going to be doing periodically for later on. And we'll set you guys up so you can not record shit at practice.
Shit.
Right.
Fuck that. I don't give a shit. It's going to be fun regardless. So there you go. Shout outs to you, Shane.
Perfect. Yeah, so that leaves me. I'll keep mine short and to the point. Herb, I'm glad we hooked up again, man. It's always a blast. I things are easy when you're on with us because there doesn't ever have to. We don't do blueprints here. We don't. You never reached out to me and said, "Hey, what are we going to be talking about?" Because I know you're going to bring it no matter what. And listen, when you love something, when it matters to you, it's easy to talk about. And it's that way with you every time you're on here. I had so many people hit me up. They're like, "Bro, Herb's coming on the show again." I'm like, "Yep, he's going to be on there," and they're so excited. So that's a testament. And brother. I mean, you working your way up the way that you have, man, it's an awesome thing to watch. And just like with JF1, our guy Herb Howard is on the ascension, and it's going to be it's going to be your playground, bro. You're going to be the man here where you're going for sure. So
I received that and I appreciate it. Thanks again, man.
Absolutely. And listen, not to be lost in all of this football and sports in general. Sometimes we can overlook things that are important, like real life and family. And if we don't have family, you have nothing. It's like, not having your health. I went to Florida last week with my son for his Make-A-Wish trip and took my daughter, 2 years old, which, listen, it was one of the best moments of my life, but taking a 2-year-old crazy person to Disney is a fucking chore that I will never do again. Listen, I told Cars, I'm like, hey, I love her, but I wanted to put her on Space Mountain and send her to fucking Pluto.
I mean, 2-year-olds literally act like drunk adults.
Oh my God. It's the worst, the best and worst experience ever. But then when we finally got through to meet Mickey, I think if you follow me on social media, you got to see that picture. And I mean, that made it all worth it and everything like that. But overall, what I want to say is, as much as we love football and as much as we look forward to it, there's bigger and way more important things in life that we should never overlook. I've been just as guilty of letting the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bulls, and I'm a Dodgers fan, whatever. I've let sports affect my life where I've taken it with me the next day or the day after that or the day after that. And listen, life is short. Your kids, listen, they should be your sole focus. They're not kids very long. We have a limited amount of time. I keep a video on my phone of a guy talking. He's like, when you have kids, they're only really little kids for about 4 years. And then after that, they're on their fucking way. They're in school and shit changes. And I always think it's very important to make sure that your priorities are straight, and the Bears shouldn't be the focal point of your life. Your family should be the things that matter, because without them, without my family, I wouldn't be able to be doing this right here, talking to you guys. Without my kids, and like I said, my daughter's a fucking handful, but I would trade her. I would not trade her for the world.
You would
sometimes.
Trade her.
At 3 a.m.
You traded Riley for Justin Fields. So
I did that night. Yeah, I sent him to New York. But hug your kids. You know what I mean? Shit changes fast. There's not a person on this panel that hasn't been through something, lose a close friend, lose a loved one. I think of our guy Ryan Cox with who this segment is really after, SpencerStrong. I went through it with my son. Don't take any of that stuff for granted, because something happens. It doesn't matter if the Bears win 3 games or if they even win the Super Bowl. There's priorities. There's a list of priorities, and football should never be number one. Sports should never be number one. There's a pecking order, and this stuff should be down the pecking order.
Trivial.
Love your kids, love your family. Start there. And just like I said, if you figure out the quarterback position, just like in your life, you get your priorities straight, everything falls in line after that. And that is my shout out for everybody. And I think we can all be better people moving forward if we take that to heart. And that, like I said, that includes all of us. So love you guys. I'm excited about where we're going here with TTNL, where the Bears are going. We're going to be following our guy Herb in all his coverage. And guys, we made it. We made it through the doldrums of the NFL season, and I'm ready to go. Herb, do you have, just real quick before we wrap this up, do you have any specific schedule or anything like that you're going to be, what's your itinerary?
Nah, man, I got nothing I want to say behind what you just said, man. That was everything. Everything else is football. We'll be at camp. We'll be at Hallis Hall Tuesday, clearing all the way through the season. Once Tuesday gets here, we'll be there. Follow me on Twitter. We'll keep everybody updated on the articles, on the videos, on the reports, everything else. But man, I got nothing to say after what you just said.
Perfect. All right, guys. Hey, we're here, ladies. Cherie, we made it. Bears football's back next week. Let's go. Fuck out of here. Larry Mayer, take us away.
Oh my fucking God. Your lunch with Larry.
Come on.
You fucked it up. You
screwed it all up.
Fucked it up.
He did it.
All right.
I know. We're out of here.